What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing today? Got ourselves a little 20K subscriber special going on here. Just hit 20K a few days ago. I think it was Thursday. And I'm pretty excited about it. And I'd like to go over what the journey was like to get here. So, yeah, just going to wait for some people to show up. Say hi in the chat if you're excited. And yeah, how are we all doing today? 20K. Modern SpongeBob's worst idea yet. That was the video that got us there. Hello, 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 welcome. The Basher Show was our first chatter today. Now a bunch of highs. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Finally here for a stream. You've been meaning to catch one? The Basher Show? You've been a fan? Haven't seen a stream yet? Yeah, I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. Early. Yeah, early. Welcome, welcome, everybody. What do we all think of the most recent video? Modern SpongeBob's worst idea yet. You know, it's funny that just as I'm like starting to do a few less SpongeBob videos, we got our live action Avatar, we got some Family Guy, regular show. Regular show didn't do too well, unfortunately. But just as I'm trying to branch out a little more is when SpongeBob season 17 starts airing. So there's going to be a lot of SpongeBob until about, I mapped out the next couple of weeks of videos. As of right now, SpongeBob season 17, at least as far as the planned airing schedule, it looks like it goes until the second week of August that we're going to have SpongeBob season 17. So you'll probably be seeing videos on the most recent episodes generally every Tuesday is what I've been trying to do, because I am able to watch them on Monday. Don't ask me how. I know a guy who knows a guy. But I get a hold of them on Monday. And then I make the video for Tuesday. I'm not able to find them when they air. It's a real pain. Because they air on Friday, but they air on like Real TV, and it's like I don't have Real TV. I don't have none of that. So yeah, SpongeBob season 17 is airing until about mid-August. So you should probably expect videos on the new ones. I am planning one big SpongeBob video soon, and I'm going to announce it soon. I'm actually going to make a trailer. My big SpongeBob theory video is coming out. I'm going to reveal what the theory is soon. So stay tuned on the channel. Keep subscribe, notification, all that sort of stuff. I'm at least planning on. I don't know if I will. Maybe I'll change my mind if it doesn't look too good. But I'm planning on making a trailer for it. Big theory video. I'm gonna do like kind of when I was watching the Alex Bale theory. Really sold me on the idea of me wanting to do one myself. So I came up with this really original idea for a theory, and I'm going to reveal it soon. So keep a lookout for the trailer. Did you change the thumbnail on your newest video? It looks like it. I always do a thumbnail, or almost always, generally always. I think I do it always. I do a thumbnail test. So I tested between 3 thumbnails, and this was the one that won. Funnily enough, I actually mentioned in this video that I do a thumbnail test. I mentioned the thumbnail test, and I actually thought that a different thumbnail was going to win. Though this thumbnail still supports the idea of what I've called the Conch Street effect, which is that thumbnails that have Conch Street in them get more views. But this one had a higher percentage, and it's not all of Conch Street, but it is the pineapple and the Squidward's house, and they're smiling, and it's in the ballpark. It's in the ballpark. It definitely supports the idea that Conch Street thumbnails do well, especially since this is a very well-performing video. Are you planning on making another video about Alex Griffin? Yeah, I got 2. If we want to check them out real quick. Just before we get into the actual subject. If anyone has any ideas about this. Yeah, I'm mulling over. I really want to do Family Guy Hates America. Right? Like, come on. That's going to be fun. I'm going to do that one on a later day. That one's got to happen. Who is Alex Griffin? Alex Griffin is just an AI channel. It's like Sponge Truths and No Villains Are Safe. But it's Family Guy. And I'm like now I'm all big on Family Guys. I've had 2 really successful Family Guy videos, so I'm kind of a Family Guy commentator now. So I think I kind of wanted to branch that out with my AI coverage. I think Family Guy Hates America will be fun because the last time I did Alex Griffin, because Alex Griffin is very dull. Like, Alex Griffin's videos are really not that fun. Like, when we did it, we started with this one, and it was just dull. It was like, it just was recapping, and it was no fun. I did not like it. I did not like doing this one. And I almost was going to just call it quits on Alex Griffin, but I figured out Alex Griffin's thing, which is that we did the religion one, and there was a lot of discussion with it. So I feel like Family Guy Hates America is going to be a good one. We're going to do that one a little later. When I'm feeling a little more political, we'll do Family Guy Hates America. Although it probably won't be that political. I know the thumbnail looks very political, but I think it will be more similar to the religion one, where I'm going to talk about how the jokes that this is going to talk about can there's a better way of looking at them than whatever Alex Griffin is doing. Another one I wanted to do is I wanted to compare No Villains Are Safe, because they stole from No Villains Are Safe with the prison sentence stuff, and also No Villains Are Safe stole the prison sentence stuff, so it's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. Still puts in more work than the modern Family Guy writers. I don't know. I think I'm not gonna go to bat too much for the modern Family Guy writers. They are not trying very hard. That is true. Or maybe they are trying very hard and the network's not giving them enough time to work. That's some benefit of the doubt I like to give writers of shows. So I can agree with you that I don't want to give them too much credit. But AI is even worse than even the worst writers, you know? It's kind of the funny thing about AI is it lowered the bar to the point where, like, I'm sitting here, like, defending, like, the Family Guy writers. I'd argue the manatees with balls is still better than AI. It's kind of functionally the same, was kind of what South Park was saying all those years ago. Obviously, they weren't saying that Family Guy was written with AI 15 years ago, because how would it have been? But that is kind of the criticism, like, that they might as well write it. They might as well use manatees to write it. Is there a single type of generative AI that is at the very least okay? With images, creative text, or maybe even just text in general, video, music, and human-sounding voices, no. There is some margin of exception for human-sounding voices that has to do with disabilities. I don't like to get too much into it because I feel like pro AI people, they grab onto the whole, ooh, but what if someone is disabled? And then they're like, and now we're in a world that is populated with fake Sponge Truth voices. And it's like, I think that there's a middle ground there. And I don't like to give them that argument, because they're not arguing in favor of helping disabled people. When pro AI people make that argument, they're arguing that they want to live in a world with a bunch of fake voices, or they want to use fake voices to trick people, or because they aren't very good at speaking themselves, they want to get ahead, and they're using the existence of disabled people as a cudgel. But there is some validity to, I mean, it's a whole thing. Like, I think that there's some element of, like, the whole voices thing that is a little mental. Like, it's a mental feeling, like this idea of if someone, like, is, like, medically mute, an AI voice that sounds human could do some kind of confidence boost for them. I think a lot of that is psychological. Like, you know, like, perhaps there's, like, an element of, like, well, maybe we should just accept people who have, like, the text to speech like Stephen Hawking had, and, like, maybe we don't need to live in a world where people would feel judged for that, so that it wouldn't be necessary for it to sound human. But at the same time, I really can't speak for the experience of someone who genuinely has lost their voice and would feel better with something like that. I really can't speak for how their mental state would be improved by that. So I don't argue that from such an absolutist state. But I think there's a middle ground that can be had when it comes to, like, generating, like, voices that sound human. I think there's a way to do it where it's like, no, you can't have them narrate audiobooks. Like, human voices have to narrate audiobooks, all this sort of stuff, but like some guy who, you know, had cancer and can't speak anymore, like, sure, whatever. Like, it doesn't bother me. You know, like I'm not going to cry if all other Gen AI gets banned and there's that still, you will not hear a complaint from me. And also, I don't know anything about AI coding. I've gotten a bunch of questions about AI coding. I know nothing about coding. I really can't speak for it. It's just not a question that I can answer. And it's not high on my list of things to research. I am constantly learning new things. It's just not high on my list. There might come a time where it's like really necessary for me to learn all the nuances of AI coding so I can argue about it. Also, thank you, Cyber Schmecky396, for the $6.99 Canada. I liked your new SpongeBob video. I think you made a good point. It's almost impossible to run out of ideas. The show might be lacking competition. It's definitely lacking competition. Yeah, that's certainly a part of it. Yeah, certainly. I'd rather have janky text-to-speech. Yeah, the whole, like, it's so tricky because it's really the only rebuttal I ever get that's like a real rebuttal. Like, the only time I ever get a good faith rebuttal to saying all generative AI should be banned, because there isn't a good faith rebuttal to any of the other stuff. Like, you just can't argue that there's ever any reason for AI to generate music. There just isn't. Like no one has ever made a real argument in favor of that because there isn't one. Like, there just is not. But like I do get good faith people who genuinely ask the question, like, what about like disability with like voices, when I say that absolute. And it's really hard. Like, I can't always do all the nuance. Like, I need to say all generative AI should be banned of like, and then I list like the 5 things that it does that need to be banned. And voices, human sounding voices is one of them. It is on the list. And I don't always give that caveat of the disability thing. So sometimes you just have to watch me a little more to know that I am aware of that caveat. Why these AI channels get so many views when small creators like me and many more get hundreds of views. We're going to talk about this later. I have another stream planned for today about how AI channels are failing and about how we're going to look at SpongeBob Diaries later, actually. So stay tuned because that's going to be fun. I thought I wasn't going to cover SpongeBob Diaries, but I have actually something to say about them today. But we are going to do that later after our little 20K subscribers special. Using disabled people to justify AI slop is a real sleazy thing to do. Absolutely. People do it all the time. But the people who have asked me the question about, like in my comments, I have gotten questions from people who have asked about AI voices and disabled people. And they are being honest. Like it is a good faith question. There is a good faith argument. Those people are not the same as the people who say that AI art should exist because disabled people who don't have hands or whatever, because that doesn't matter, because if you don't have hands, AI drawing for you, you're still not drawing. Like that as much doesn't fix the problem as if you just don't draw at all, because you're not doing it. So saying that like AI art like helps an artist draw, it doesn't, because they literally don't draw. It sucks. Like I wish like a person with no hands, I mean, maybe there's some way a person with no hands could, I mean, I guess it depends on your dexterity and how severe the condition is, but like, you know, hypothetically, a person who has no hands who literally just can't lift up a pencil, like that, just like that does exist. There is nothing that I can do, or there is nothing that technology can do to make that person draw. AI generating an image for them, they're still not doing it. They're as much not making art as they were before. It doesn't make a difference. Whereas an AI voice doing sounding a little more human and giving a person who has a disability like a little bit more confidence in speaking, a little bit more feeling of like some kind of normalcy. Again, like, I don't think you have to have a human sounding voice. I think that we as a society should accept people if they have a Stephen Hawking text-to-speech voice. I think that does not matter, like, to me. But, like, I can totally understand a person's mindset where that would mean the world to them. I really can. And I wouldn't argue with a person and be like, well, you should just accept your Stephen Hawking voice. It'd be a little messed up to say, you know, like, I just don't believe. And also, there is not material harm to that. If it's I think it should be a prescription, really. I think it should be like someone getting a wheelchair. Like, people who have wheelchairs are people who can't walk. So it should be the same thing with like AI voices. It's for people who can't talk, and it's only for people who can't talk. People who can walk don't go around in wheelchairs. I mean, like, there are people who, well, this is always this discussion too. So there's always exceptions. There are obviously people who can walk. They use wheelchairs because they have trouble walking, and there's a million different things. There's so many different things. And I always understand that. And I always know that. So if I ever leave anything out, if you ever feel I left something out, please know I always try to cover all bases in big discussions like this. But it's kind of like that. Also, Jackson, there are probably some prosthetic hands that connect directly to the brain. Are there already? Really? Cool. Hey, thank you, Chris Canule, for the $2. Congrats on 2K. Oh, very expensive. They're expensive. Gotcha. So they're not common. They're not common. Brain transfer to robot cyborg type stuff. Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to that. The existence of that. I think that would be fine. As long as you're still you. I don't know if it's possible. And I feel like tech bros would be weird about it, I don't want tech bros to make me like anti-technology. You know what I mean? Because there's like a lot of cool stuff we can do with technology, and like tech bros make it so cringe. And I think that's kind of halting technological progress. Like, make it like how cringe like things like NFTs and like AI and also like social media, like just like these things have been corrupted by like bad actors, like bad people, and like it's a problem. Like, it makes people averse to like technology. I think I want to do a stream soon, and I'm gonna get started on my actual stream subject here, but I'm gonna do a stream soon, I think, about like the AI robots. Like, people are trying to make like robots, that like do your laundry and stuff. And I think it's a very nuanced discussion, much more nuanced than generative AI that like makes movies, where I think it's pretty cut and dry that like there's no purpose for it to exist. I don't know, man. I don't like, at first glance, I'm not super against the robots. You know what I mean? I'm sure that there are problems with them. I'm sure that there's like, I'm sure there's a lot of issues with their existence for sure. But like, I don't know. I want to look into it later. I'm going to research it a little more. I'm not fully in tune with that whole subject, but yeah. Anyway, how do you start a stream? Because when I do it, it doesn't work. You go live, but I think you have to like do stuff. I don't remember. I don't remember everything you have to do. I mean, I just click go live, and then it takes me to an interface, and then I can put in the title and thumbnail. Oh, you also need like OBS and, and then from there it's all like the equipment and stuff. Hi, Jackson. Would you think of making a season 9A versus 9B video? Maybe even comparing them to modern seasons? That's a good idea. I feel like I could do that. My videos are like mapped out for like the rest of the year. Like, every video I want to make is like already mapped out. Like, that's how advanced my video creation process is now, is that I'm actually planning like I'm literally planning some videos, some bigger videos, like over a year in advance. Like, for some videos, I plan them really far out, especially bigger ones like these ones. So like SpongeBob season 17 videos, I make them in a day. I actually will make the whole video. Like, this video, funnily enough, I did this video late because this episode didn't air last week, but I did this video in one day. I started writing this video last Monday in the morning, and I finished it by Monday night and put it up. 20-minute video. Me and my fiance edits. I would not have been able to do it by myself. But like, what's some that... Or like live action Avatar, like this came out. I was already planning on doing this video, but I didn't. So this video was like mapped out time wise that I was going to do a live action Avatar video. What are some that like took me a while? SpongeBob's period pieces. This video, I guess it did well. I guess it didn't do well compared to like my crazy numbers I've been getting recently. But this video still did well. This video was in progress for a while. Like SpongeBob period pieces, I had it in the pipeline for a while. Same thing with Camp Coral. Camp Coral took me, I mean, Camp Coral is a 2-hour video. This took me months, the Camp Coral one, and I was planning it and putting out other videos as I was working on Camp Coral. That's how my workflow works, because I can't just take 2 months of not making videos and then put out Camp Coral. I have to put out videos still kind of weekly, and then go into them. Same thing with like Chum Bucket Got Destroyed. Was a long time coming. Squidward Torture was a pretty big process. Krusty Krab was a big process. Science fiction I actually did pretty quickly, despite it covering I think 9 episodes. But a lot of my videos coming up are just very, very in the pipeline. But season 9 Avers, like it's an idea. Like if there's a time where it's like I'm looking for another good SpongeBob video, it's totally an option. Hi, Jackson. Love your Camp Coral video. Also, first time I managed to catch you to live stream. Thank you. Thank you. My Camp Coral video is my pride and joy. It is my pride and joy. It's some of the best work I've ever done. It really is. That's why I like advertise it so heavily in my videos. Like I totally bumped up its views. I really wanted it to get past 100K, and I'm so glad it did. I advertise it in like I think in the past like 4 SpongeBob videos, I'm like, go watch my Camp Coral video at the end, just because it's like that. I'll probably eventually stop doing that, but you'll probably see that in the next couple of SpongeBob videos, because it does work. Like it does bump up the Camp Coral views. Like every time I talk about it, every time one of these videos comes out, the Camp Coral video gets a few thousand more views. So that's why I say that, because it works. So if you already watched it and it's like, yeah, I know I'm advertising a video you already saw, just watch another one of my videos. Just watch another one of my videos you haven't watched yet. Am I one of the only weirdos that likes Camp Coral? You're not a weirdo for liking Camp Coral. I never want someone to feel bad about watching a thing that I criticize. There is a slight difference. Like, I think if someone likes modern SpongeBob, or even likes like live action Avatar or modern Family Guy or whatever, if they like these things, I'm not telling you that you need to stop watching it. I really would not say that to someone. I just want to make my arguments for like why it's bad and like use it to teach people about writing. So like if you enjoy Camp Coral, I'm not going to bite your head off for it. It's fine. AI channels are a little different. I think that if you like are like an avid viewer of Sponge Truths, I think that you are actually doing harm for yourself. Like, I think that you are making your life worse by watching Sponge Truths videos. I don't think that applies to anything that I've talked about on this channel that isn't AI. Because I have talked about AI on this channel. But, like, any of these things, if you like modern SpongeBob, if you like modern Family Guy, if you like live-action Avatar, if you like the Super Mario Galaxy movie, I'm really not here to bite your head off for that. Like, I argue with people when they say, like, that it doesn't matter that I'm saying this. When they say, like, it's a show for kids, or, oh, like, grown men are talking about SpongeBob. Like, these kind of worthless comments, these are the things that I argue against. But when someone says, I enjoyed this episode, the most I would ask you is, why did you enjoy it? And do you understand the story issues, or do you refute the story issues? That's all I would ask of someone in that sense. And from there, it really doesn't matter. I don't want you to feel bad if you like modern SpongeBob, like, or if you like Camp Coral or any of this stuff. Like, it's just not what I aim to do. And sometimes I see that people seem to feel bad when they get defensive. And that just comes with the territory. There's really not much I do all that I can to not have people feel that way, but it just comes with the territory. Would you say Alice in Wonderland has any lessons? A lot of it's nonsense. Alice in Wonderland is like incredibly allegorical. All of it has lessons. That's what makes it such an iconic film, is that all of the crazy things that happen mean something. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland, like, I watched it a little while ago well, like probably like 2 years ago now. So it's been a while since I watched it, but I watched it not crazy long ago. No, Alice in Wonderland or like Wizard of Oz, like these are the things that happen in the story. See, things being nonsensical does not mean it's not a story. I mean, I praise classic SpongeBob all the time. It's the same thing. Classic SpongeBob. Classic SpongeBob has nonsensical stories. Like Bubble Buddy is a pretty nonsensical story. It has deeper meaning, you know. So, yeah. But I don't want to get too much into it. I'm gonna get I'll get too deep into it. But that's kind of one thing. Jackson, I know this might be off topic, but how do I become famous like you by using flip a clip? Like, do I have a buildup? That's sweet that you think I'm famous. I only have 20K subscribers. I wouldn't call myself famous, but thank you though. I'm glad that I'm famous to you. I don't know what a flip a clip is. Is it like a camera? Is that what it is? Is it like that you have like not the best equipment? You know what? You should just pay attention to the rest of this stream because this is I'm basically going to answer your questions because I'm going to talk about my story and how I got here. So, and if you can't make the whole stream, which is totally fine. I never want my audience to feel like they have to watch the whole stream. But if you can't make it for the whole stream, you could go subscribe to Jackson Finlay Podcast. There's a link in the description of this. And I am going to post this edited stream there probably tomorrow, this particular segment. So if you miss anything, you'll be able to watch it there. And I'll answer a lot of your questions there because this is going to be a very behind the scenes, me sharing my knowledge, me sharing my process. I'm very big on being transparent with how I make my stuff. I want people to know how I make my videos because I want them to make good videos. I want there to be more good videos in the world. And I feel like if I share how I make my videos, that will happen. So that was what would you say is your magnum opus? Currently, the Camp Coral video. Camp Coral video, absolutely. What are some others that are kind of magnum opus-ish? This most recent one is real good. I really live action Avatar. I was just on it. Like I was in the zone when I made my live action Avatar video. I really was. Like I had so much to say. It gave me so much to say. Some other ones. Ranking every time the Krusty Krab got destroyed, I think was a really unique idea. That's one. They're all so good. I love all of my videos. I really do. Modern SpongeBob doesn't understand basic storytelling. I would say that this is like the linchpin of my channel. Like if you were like, I want to recommend this channel to someone, this is like the video. Like this is like the video that is my whole philosophy is modern SpongeBob doesn't understand basic storytelling. It is the linchpin of the channel for sure. And modern SpongeBob doesn't understand imagination is pretty close. I'd say that these are very similar videos. I'd say that this is almost a sequel to this video. Kind of an unofficial sequel. Other ones that I would call magnum opuses. How to Write Dying for Pi is a very good one. It's an analysis of my favorite episode. So I'd say that's a pretty good one. I mean, they're all so great. I really do like a lot of them, but those are like the real highlights, I would say, of the channel, like the magnum opuses. Any from like before? There are a couple from like before I started to blow up. I mean, my very first, like, the video that got me monetized, Nosferatu, it's old for sure. Like, I look very different, and my sound and all that sort of stuff is very different. But we'll get into it. But this one is also kind of a magnum opus, I'd say. All right, we're going to talk about... All right, I'm going to get actually started. I'm going to get started for realsies. Really like the... I miss those rewriting bad episodes videos. Yeah, I kind of still do them. I just present them differently. So like I like with the one with like rewriting the Splinter, rewriting Many Faces of Squidward. I guess I kind of don't and do them. What's one where I guess you could kind of call it that? Modern SpongeBob is going through the motions is kind of rewriting Karen's Klatch. I kind of said what was better about it. These ones all have, I suggested rewrites to all of these, like what would be better. Like they do still kind of exist in there, but I get what you mean, that I don't exactly have like rewriting this episode. Yeah, is not super common anymore. Because originally I was planning on having it be like, I actually originally, so if we look at, you know what, I'll talk about this as we get to it. There's some behind the scenes stuff. Okay, so I have just reached 20,000 subscribers just a couple days ago. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has helped me get there, and to everyone who's going to be there as I move forward, as I get on my way even farther to, I mean, the next big milestone's 100K at this point, I would say. 20K feels like a very big achievement. 10K, I got to 10K. When did I get to 10K? So this is the video that got me to 20K, Modern SpongeBob's worst idea yet. The home away from home critique just popped off last week, and it fired me past that 20K line. Awesome. The video that got me to 10K would be ranking every time the Krusty Krab got destroyed. So that means that I was at 10K 4 months ago. So in 4 months, I got from 10K to 20K. And I am growing even faster than I was back then as of right now, provided I keep going at the same rate. So yeah, so this was the video that got me to 10K, and 10K was a big achievement. It was like, but 20K feels real, you know, like 20K feels really real as a proper YouTuber. And also I think a major difference between 10K and 20K is that back then when so I've been a full-time YouTuber for, what's it, July as I record this? 8 months now. I have been a full-time YouTuber since December of 2025. Before that, I was a photographer. That was my like main job. I was a youth theater photographer, and I actually lived in California, and I moved to the East Coast in December. And when I moved to the East Coast in December, my channel had been kind of popping off for a couple of months. We'll get to my full story in a bit. But when I moved to the East Coast, my plan was to keep building up the channel, and I was eventually going to, I had a bit of a prospect to, actually I was going to start teaching. I was going to do youth theater teaching when I moved out here, because I have background in theater. And I have been a youth theater teacher in the past. So it was something that I was looking into doing, that there was like discussions. My dad is a youth theater teacher person, and we were discussing like certain things with that, and it didn't really end up happening, like that sort of thing. I didn't end up getting a different job. And while I was kind of planning to get this other job, to start this other sort of career in addition to the YouTube, because YouTube was making me money at the time, but it wasn't like everything. I started to get to the point where I started to realize that, man, I think YouTube is my job now. Like it just started to kind of happen. So even though I have been doing YouTube full time for 8 months now, it's really only been since, let's see, when was this video? When was this video? Okay. So this video, so ranking every time the Krusty Krab got destroyed was in February of this year. So I think I decided probably around April that I was like, I'm not going to look for another, this is my job now. So it was probably around, I think it was Sneakers O'Toole. That was when I really made the choice, when I was really like, this is it. This is what I do now. It was probably only about 2 months ago that I really decided that this was going to be my only job. Um, Now, how did I get here? Sometimes I ask myself that. How did I get here? Um, and I suppose to really get to the beginning of my story, we have to go even further than the importance of the background fish in SpongeBob SquarePants, the first video on this channel. We have to go even further back. This video came out in November of 2024, but I've actually been doing YouTube for much longer. This is a tribute to Charles Martinet, top 10 Mario voice lines. It is a video that I did in, I think, August or September of 2023, back when Charles Martinet retired from being the voice of Mario. This was news back then. And it's on a channel called The Game Cubicle. Get it? Like GameCube? Because when I started doing YouTube, so I started doing YouTube in 2023. At the time I lived in California, I was in LA. I was working as a, photographer, as I said, trying to find sort of certain things in like the film and television industry over there. And what I really found out there was more so being a self-starter, being a YouTuber was really what I discovered over there. It's a part of why I ended up moving back to the East Coast. First of all, there's still a lot of industry stuff even in the East Coast, so it's not like, I'm not too far from that anyway, but really, like, I found a lot of, in learning to do YouTube, that kind of became my foundation of what I do. And I started doing YouTube in 2023. Now, this is technically not the first video I posted. Alex Griffin out of the search bar. Don't need Alex Griffin looming over my story. What's going on? Is something going on? Am I slow or something? Is the are we getting the video? Is it slow or something? The chat's dead. Yeah, we need more chats, guys. What was I saying? So yeah, so in about August of 2023, I started doing the Game Cubicle, which was a video game channel. It was focused mostly on Nintendo, pretty much entirely on Nintendo. I think I did some on SpongeBob games. That came a little later. And my first two videos that I actually deleted that were on this channel, one was about how Mario Kart should have a story mode, and the other was about the gambling in Pokemon and how they got rid of the gambling in Pokemon, which I did a little late. Yeah, this one I remade it, and then I eventually did the Mario Kart one too. But the first two were they were different ones. They just weren't very good. I was still learning the ropes. The audio was trash. That's the main reason I deleted them, was really because of the audio. But the first one that really stuck, the first real video, would be Jackson Finelli Lost Media. It's truly lost. It actually is gone. I deleted them off YouTube. I don't have the hard drive anymore that had them. Like, they actually are straight up gone. They actually would be straight up gone. So sorry about that, but they weren't very good. They were fine. So I was doing the gaming videos, so I think maybe just for a little bit of fun, let's take a look at my first real YouTube video back in 2023. Top 10 Mario lines, a tribute to Charles Martinet. So already, we can kind of see some. We can already see a little bit of my attitude as a YouTuber. First of all, like, the fact that I'm talking about Charles Martinet and I'm talking about voice acting in my very first video game focused video, I think already was a little bit of an indication of where I would eventually end up, talking about media mostly. I was talking about a performance, talking about all this sort of stuff. And actually, the reason that I did top 10 Mario lines is that I was aware that I was a new YouTuber at this point. I mean, I literally had 0 subscribers. Like, it was like maybe 5, and there were people I knew, like I literally had 0 subscribers because it was like the first video. And I knew that other channels, other Nintendo channels, had already covered that Charles Martinet was retiring from the voice of Mario. So I was like, all right, I can't just do a video that says Charles Martinet is retiring from voicing Mario, because they're just going to watch the bigger people who already talked about it. So what can I do to stand out? That was the first thing that I really learned about YouTube, is what is the thing that I can do that the audience has to come to me for, that they can't go to anyone else for. And that was why I landed on doing top 10 Mario voice lines. Now, even if we look at the thumbnail, it's not a bad thumbnail for sure, but like you can kind of see some cracks in it. The text isn't very readable. Like, it's not like, if you look at, even those are my older ones, but if you look at like my thumbnails, like the text is so readable. It's the black outlines and all that sort of stuff. In fact, funnily enough, this is actually a redone thumbnail. This was not the original thumbnail in this video. I used to use a different font that was very not as readable. I used a more like fun font that was way less readable. I don't remember which one it was, but it was like, it looked all like curly or whatever, and it wasn't very good. And like just the way it looks with like the Mario and Luigi in the corner, and like it's a good thumbnail in a lot of ways. Like, it got a decent amount of views for the size of the channel at the time. So I think it had a lot going for it with the thumbnail, but it wasn't exactly what I understand now about thumbnails. And we'll talk about how I learned thumbnails in a little bit. Think of this a little bit as a crash course in how to be a YouTuber. Like, like looking at the things that I made mistakes and looking at the things that I learned can help you, if you want to do this, not make the same mistakes, or, kind of give yourself a head start. So let's see my real first video. Charles Martinet. Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario, Luigi. My audio is just not as good. And I wasn't as good of a speaker back then. You can kind of hear it. I've always been a pretty solid speaker. Like, I took voice and speech in college. Like, I'm a big as far as talking goes, I've always been very good at it. But when it came to YouTube presenting, I did have to find myself a bit. It's not the same as delivering a monologue like when I was in acting classes. And sometimes you might hear it in here. I almost approached it almost like an actor would, whereas now I approach presenting as a presenter would, and it's really something you can only learn by actually doing it. Wario, Waluigi, and countless other Nintendo characters has stepped down from voice acting. Nintendo said in a statement that Man, my audio was real bad then. My audio, this was recorded not on this mic. This was recorded in a closet back in my apartment when I used to live in Long Beach. And I didn't have a space to film. So that's why my stuff was faceless on the game cubicle for a while. I just didn't even have the space to film. We'll get to some of my first videos where I filmed my face, and it's because I moved to another apartment where I had space to film. And that was before I lived here. This is a whole spare bedroom. This is not even my bedroom. I have a separate room, just for my studio and my office, as I call it. Martinet will continue to act as an ambassador to Mario. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but... So in my intro, I said I was giving the news, so that whole thing about Charles Martinet was an ambassador to Nintendo. So this is kind of what I did. So, like, I wanted to report the news of it, but I also knew that if the title and thumbnail was just the news, especially in gaming, and we'll talk about the difference between gaming and why I kind of stopped doing gaming. We'll talk about that in a bit. But when you're competing, you have to find a way to stand out. You have to find a way to make your video different. And then once you make your video different, you can do some things that are the same. You can report the news if you want to do a video. You just have to report the news in a way, you have to package it in a way that your audience is going to want to see, or that is just going to get the attention of your audience.
It's nice to know that he will still have close ties to the character he had such a big hand in shaping. In this video, I'm going to rank my...
In this video, that is a I wouldn't call it an amateur YouTuber tell. Like, it's fine to say in this video. It's generally redundant. There's some, I think I even said in this video, my most recent one, I think what it is that if you're just starting out as a YouTuber, you should try to avoid saying in this video. And then once you really understand your content, you will find the times where you should say in this video. Like back then, I was saying in this video as a crutch, as a way of trying to be like, this is what the video is, guys. Whereas usually it's better to just write a punchy intro than say something like, in this video, I will this. And then once you understand that, you can decide, okay, now that I know how to write a punchy intro, I can now know when saying something like in this video is the best choice.
Top 10 favorite Mario voice lines. I'm only going to be focusing on Martinet's Mario.
This was terrible footage to choose right there. I think my logic was that Mario like going down the slide, but I didn't even realize that he's going through this little slide. Look at this.
10 favorite Mario voice lines.
Look, I'm getting dizzy.
I'm only going to be
like, why did I choose this footage? Another thing about video games that made some video game videos easier to make is that with video games, you didn't have to worry about how long the footage was going on for. Like, I could talk for a while with just footage going, whereas with like a SpongeBob video, you don't want to do more than 6 seconds because you'll get copyrighted. At least that's my general rule. I don't go over 6 seconds, and I've never had a problem with copyright. But with video game footage, sometimes I would just let it ride. But you still have to think about the footage, you know. I also used to make it like super wide, you know, like I kind of stretched it because this is not the aspect ratio of Super Mario 64. I eventually stopped doing that. And I just framed it to the, you know, I would put like a drop shadow or something. Or you see how my videos where I have it in like a box, you know, like I eventually started doing stuff like that.
Focusing on Martinet's Mario voice clips, because if I opened it up to his other characters, then this would just become a Waluigi video. While these other characters have their own unique identities that have had their own impact on gaming,
I also didn't do a like specific intro. So, okay, so generally how I would structure this is I'm getting into like the preamble. So what I would do in my videos now, if I were to restructure this video, what I would have done is I would have done the intro, and the intro would have been about 30 seconds. And then I would have done like a transition, and I would have said something like prologue, the rules. Like you'll notice this if you watch my Krusty Krab video. I do the intro, and then I do a transition, and then I say the rules, and then I talk about the rules. So sometimes some videos need 2 intros. A video like this needs 2 intros because I need to actually do the intro, and then I need to explain how the ranking works. Like I needed to say that I'm only ranking the Mario voices because people would be like, well, what about Waluigi? What about his other voices? So you had to make that clarification. And you also want to talk a little bit about it. Like if you do a ranking video, you do generally want to say something about it before you get right into the ranking. It depends on the ranking, but in this particular one, I had stuff to say.
Especially Mario's brother, Luigi. For this video, I want to focus on how Martinet...
For this video, I said in this video, and then I said for this video. Just like I would have known to not do that nowadays.
Shaped Mario the character and Mario the series, and look back on how his voice improved the gaming experience.
Yeah, so like that was a look back on how his voice improved the gaming experience. Like that was just a little bit like that was a good thing for me to say because it framed so what I did here, this is kind of what I think even back then set me apart as a YouTuber is what I say right here.
On how Martinet shaped Mario the character and Mario the series, and look back on how his voice improved the gaming experience.
So how his voice improved the gaming experience is what I think sets this video apart from a comparable video that would have been from another YouTuber. Like if another YouTuber did top 10 Charles Martinet lines, it would generally just be here are the voice lines that I liked. Whereas I set it up as, here's how they improved the gaming experience. So I'm not just ranking all of the voices that I liked. I'm saying, here's why it matters, what I'm talking about. I do this with the Krusty Krab video. I didn't just want to rank every time the Krusty Krab got destroyed based on what episodes I liked, because then it's just a ranking of episodes I liked. Instead, I actually talked about narrative deservedness. I used the subject to teach people something. And I was doing that all the way back then. And I think that's another thing that any up-and-coming YouTuber should try to find is, what is the kind of thing that only really you can... What is something that only really you have to offer? What is your unique perspective on the things that you're covering? Rather than it just being you talking about stuff that you personally like. Like, you can do that, sure, but I don't think it's as remarkable, you know, as really sharing what it is about you. How much have you improved in editing and video creation? We're going to look at my more recent ones. You'll see.
So long, Bowser.
Contrary to what it may sound like, the actual line here is, "So long, King."
Okay, so do I have... for the sake of not just watching this whole video, probably... I don't know if I have, like, specific... We'll go to number one. So here's number one.
Reached a consensus that they are, in fact, speaking Italian here.
Thank you so much for playing my game.
You may not have heard this one before, and I understand if you haven't. Thanks so much for playing my game. Plays in the credits of some Mario titles. I have a background in music.
So yeah, my first
Characters in gaming. A character.
So my number one was, thanks so much for playing my game, was my number one Charles Martinet line. And the reason I chose that one as number one was to kind of tie the video together in a very meaniful way. That was kind of my, like, thought of it.
On behalf of all of Nintendo. And to that, I say thank you to you, Charles.
All right. That's kind of really all I have to say about that. So, all right. So, okay. So that was the first video I ever did. So from there, to continue the story, so that was in about September of 2023. So from there, I started to make, you know, I did, so my next video was on, and we're not going to watch every video I did. Really, we're only going to watch really a handful of them. I don't think we're going to watch any more of the gaming ones. I just don't think that would be as interesting. They're kind of whatever. I mean, if you're interested, like the Game Cubicle, you can still go subscribe to it. I'm probably not going to post. I don't know if I'll ever post to it again or if it's a dead channel. I don't really know. It's not. I'm not really into doing gaming content anymore. I think it's not really worth my time as much. We'll talk about it in a bit. We'll get more into why I've kind of moved away from it. But anyway, my next video was on the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Direct, because this was right when Super Mario Bros. Wonder was about to come out. So that was me trying to get in on news. I was trying to cover news. And it got 3,000 views, which was a lot for me back then. And this is around the amount of views it got back then. Like, this isn't, like, this one, I would say, Charles Martinet, like, in its time, in, like, its, like, month and a half of, like, in the first, like, month and a half of this video being out, I would say this probably got, like, 4,000 views. And the other, up to the 8.4K, came from just it being around for a while. Whereas this one, because this was a news video, like, this video had longevity, like, it started to get, like, a couple more as it moved on. But, like, this one is, like, why would you watch me reporting and speculating on what's going to be in Super Mario Bros. Wonder all these years later? The game's out now. But this was me trying to cover, like, news, trying to cover video game news. And this started to become kind of the beginning. This would kind of become... So this would kind of end up being why I would stop doing gaming content, is to do a video like this covering the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Direct, or covering any Nintendo Direct. This is kind of a gaming thing. is what I started to realize was that gaming was so oversaturated, and gaming has so many big channels, like, you know, your Game Explains, your Arlo's, your, you know, like, these are like big, like, people who cover like Nintendo news. These people are on it. That's like what they do, is they cover the gaming news. So if I was to be the type of person who would cover every Nintendo Direct, there's a couple of prerequisites that I really didn't meet. First of all, doing like other videos, like let's say this one is just about like a Pokemon thing. There's like a criticism I had of Pokemon Emerald, and that's what this video is. And that was something I was passionate about. But like, if you're covering the Nintendo news, you probably could go back and talk about old games too, talk about retro games, but I don't know if they're particularly the same. I don't know if it's particularly the same to do that. But we'll talk about that more in just a bit as I get more towards the end of this channel. So I went on a little bit more in the early days of the channel, kind of in the fall and winter Christmassy time of 2023. I made a lot of videos about like whatever's the recent Nintendo news. Super Mario Bros. Wonder came out at around that time. I talked a bit about Pokemon, like retro Pokemon. Like this was on Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. This was on Pokemon Emerald. What's in store for Nintendo Switch 2 in the fall of 2023? That one didn't do too well. I remember that one kind of bombed, compared to some of the other ones that were coming out around that time. But that's kind of funny because the Switch 2, back then we thought the Switch 2 was going to come out the next year, and because this was 2023. If only I knew it wasn't going to come out till 2025 back then, which is now a year ago now. But anyway, I started to move forward, and I was generally averaging about 1,000 to 2,000 views when I made these videos. That was my like average when I started. That was my average, and like there were lows, you know, there like this one with the ghosts and Luigi. The Mario Wonder review was like pretty low, like for the amount of work I put into this one. And again, it's a Mario Wonder review. All of the big channels, they did their Mario Wonder review. I had to think about that back then. In November, when I did my Mario Wonder review, I had to be like, well, how could I compete with these larger things? How did I make this any different if I just called it Mario Wonder review? And this was a new thumbnail. Like you can actually see that font. I did not use that font back then. So this was not the original thumbnail. I went back and changed it later when I started using that font. See, the font was more this one. Are They Bad? That's more close to what kind of font I was using around that time. So I kind of went along and I chugged along, and 1,000 views felt like a success. 3,000 views felt like a big success. That was my feelings back then. This was before I was monetized. This was when this was pretty much a hobby. You know, I always intended for YouTube to be a career aspiration, even all the way back then when I was only getting like 1,000 to 3,000 views. This was not like, it was a hobby, but I was intending for it to eventually become something. I just understood that it would take a long time. So like the fact that it wasn't making money at that time was not like devastating, because I knew that that kind of thing would take a while. I actually thought it would take longer than it actually did. It actually happened faster than I would have expected. But I just I chugged along with 1,000 views. 3,000 was good to me back then. And the reason that I felt like 3,000 was good is because when I got 3,000 views on a video, it had like a good amount of comments to engage with. You know, usually if it got like something like under 500, there wasn't any discussion. I didn't feel like I was stoking any sort of discussion. A 3,000 view video, which is more like where this was at the time. It didn't have 7,000 back then. This didn't have 10K back then. These were like 3,000. I think this was 2,000. There were things like I felt like I was engaging in a discussion, and that felt fulfilling to me. And that was kind of what I was clinging to for a while. And then I got, all of a sudden, after just averaging 1,000 to 3,000 views, all of a sudden, I did this one video on why was the luxury ball so rare in Pokemon Emerald, and just blew up. It just, I couldn't believe it. This was back in March of 2024, and I did this video, and I had this idea where, if you don't really know Pokemon, I'll try to like explain it in a way, you know, don't really have to know Pokemon, but like basically there's a Pokeball and it's like really hard to get. And I always thought it was weird that it was really hard to get, but it was only hard to get in these couple of games. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but anyway, I had this idea for a video about an item in a video game that was really rare and how it was weird, but there was something that I felt was missing from it. And what I decided to do is I decided to end the video with a challenge, a video game challenge, where if you played this game, the challenge was to get this rare item and to catch this Pokemon is named Rayquaza, and it's black and yellow and red, which is the same color as the Pokeball. They have color coordination. But to have this Pokemon is usually green. And to have it be black, it's like a 1 in 8,000 chance. So it just was this thing where it was a rare item and a rare thing, and putting them together. Because as you know, in Pokemon, you catch the Pokemon in the Pokeball. It's the whole thing. It was this whole combination, and it just worked. It just worked, and I got these high views. And this is the video that got this channel monetized. It got it past 1,000 subscribers. And it got it past 4,000 watch hours. That's how you get monetized on YouTube. That did not turn YouTube into my job. Was far from it. I probably made less than $100 a month after that, or around $100 a month, because you actually don't get paid unless you make over $100 a month. So there would be some months where like I wouldn't even get a payout, because I didn't go over the 100. I think that happened a few times, but generally after this, I would say I generally got like $100 a month from YouTube. That was like nothing. I think I made a joke where I was like, YouTube paid for my car registration of that year. Like that was about it. Not enough for it to be your job. As crazy as it is, I remember the feeling of this video blowing up, of it getting these view counts that I today am just used to. Like, I just get views of that even more, like I just am, I mean, this is still a high amount of views for even my channel, for even any channel. Like over 100K is generally very good. But yeah, that was like how it really got started. And then from there, I would say after this, the general disappointment after this video came out and it did so well wasn't so much that every video after it didn't get 100K views, because I expected that. I expected that 100K views was not going to be every single video, but it was that sometimes I would still get under 1,000. That was very discouraging. That like, after 100K, it didn't bring me into a new threshold. And I think that is something to learn if you ever do this, is that getting one video that blows up does not mean that every video after that is going to. It could mean that you're in a different place. It could mean that, and we'll get to that when it means that, but it didn't mean that here. And that was a bit discouraging, I remember. As I kept going, I had a couple, like, I remember this one was a big deal, another Pokemon one. So another thing that I started to notice after this Pokemon video was that I started to get more views on, well, I guess that wasn't the case, because the Mario, so I covered at this time Mario and Pokemon, and I remember really thinking about that, like should I cover only Mario and Pokemon, or should I even cover both? Should I only be a Pokemon channel? Should I only be a Mario channel? That was also very difficult for me, because I felt like when I did a Pokemon video and a bunch of people subscribed for this Pokemon video, the very next video is a Mario Party video. The people who subscribed for Pokemon didn't watch it. So that's another thing that I was mulling over, is that I was going back and forth between Mario and Pokemon. And I was really only doing Mario and Pokemon. Those were like the only ones that I did. I wasn't really that interested in other video games. We'll get to some that are other video games, but yeah. So from there, basically, this was around the summer of 2024. Summer to the fall of 2024. Basically, how that worked for me was I would average about 1,000 to 3,000 views. I'd say my average was about 3,000 at this point. And every so often I get one that went over 10K. I never got another one that got, well, not never, but I wasn't getting other ones that got 100K. I don't think even 50K. I think it was like 10,000 was usually like great. And I kept going, and, news would happen, and Pokemon TCG Pocket came around that time. Switch 2 leak. Let's see. Reveal of Mario Party Jamboree was some other stuff that would happen around then. So I was balancing it with news, new games coming out, and it just was a bit hard to control. There was just a lot of different things that were going on with gaming, and I was really struggling to find my way into it. So at around this time in 2024, how Super Sponge for GBA fails miserably. This was in November of 2024, and this video coincides with this video. They came out on the same day, actually. And that was on purpose. I wanted this video. It's actually funny. It was the other way around. I wanted this video to advertise this channel and this video. I wanted to use the Game Cubicle, which at the time had, I want to say, 2,000 subscribers, to advertise this channel that had no subscribers because it was a new channel. And there were a couple of reasons why I started talking about media on a separate channel. I always wanted to do discussions of movies and TV shows. It was always a thing that I cared a lot about. I've said that actually something that made me want to cover movies and TV shows was the first season of the Avatar live action, which is funny because I just did a video on the second season of Avatar live action. The first season came out before I made this channel, so I wasn't able to really criticize it. And I felt like there was so much I wanted to say about it. I watched the first episode of it, and it was so awful. And I felt like there was so much I wanted to say about it, and I just didn't have that platform. So that was kind of but I didn't want to just make the media analysis channel just to talk about that. I needed to be ready. And what made me ready is that really I moved to a different apartment and I had a place to film. That was like the main thing that changed. Really is why I started doing this channel. And I was finally able to do media analysis. But I decided to do media analysis on a separate channel. And the reason for that is that I was already struggling with, do I talk about Mario? Do I talk about Pokemon? And do I talk about news? Do I talk about new games that are coming out? Do I discuss old games? Like I just didn't have that kind of focus. There was just a lot that was going on with the Nintendo channel, and I just was really struggling to choose a specific thing to discuss. And I felt like all of it was kind of a losing game. So with all of that, I didn't want to add, now I talk about movies and TV shows on this channel. That would be insane, especially because it's called The Game Cubicle. It was clearly a gaming-focused channel. So there just was not an avenue for it. So I decided to do a second channel. This was my second channel. This is now not a second channel. This is a main channel, if there ever was one. But I decided to keep them separate as channels. So I kept kind of pittering along with video game videos. But I started to notice when I did my very first SpongeBob video, which was the importance of the background fish, that it did very well for a first video. It did better than most videos on the GameCube. It did better than most videos on the Game Cubicle. And that was kind of crazy for me. That was a crazy realization that with this video on SpongeBob, there was actually so much more potential. I got so much more viewership. And the reason for that is really just because there's fewer people talking about movies and TV shows than there is about gaming. These gaming channels, these big channels, they are just so industrialized to make their news videos. And they're not bad channels. Like, it's not like what I say about, these content farms or anything. I wouldn't call them content farms. They're just channels that have a lot of people ready to report on the news. Like, it's just what they are. And something like my little grassroots, the importance of the background fish in SpongeBob SquarePants, is just something that big operations just weren't really making. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Another thing that I think made this video blow up is that it was more, or not even more, but it was different from other comparable SpongeBob videos. Because of the way that it discussed story. Because of the way... So this video was about how the background fish in SpongeBob are used in the story of episodes. It's really an analysis of how background characters are used in media. It just used SpongeBob to have that discussion. And this is not the same as a video that was kind of the inspiration for it, which would be B-Tan's ranking every SpongeBob incidental fish. This was a little bit, I would say this was a little bit inspired by B-Tan's video. Obviously, it's not the same. I'm not ranking every fish. But this video did make me think about, first of all, that the concept of discussing SpongeBob background fish is popular, that it's like a thing that people care about. That was what kind of made me choose that subject. And that's okay if you do that, by the way. If you want to be a YouTuber and you see that other subjects are popular and you want to talk about that subject too, that's fine, as long as you're not like fully like just taking someone else's video. But yeah. But I think another thing that mine did differently is that I had that emphasis on story. So from here, I was kind of going parallel with the Game Cubicle. Game Cubicle was posting, Jackson Finelli was posting. This channel, Jackson Finelli, which wasn't called Jackson Finelli, by the way, when it started. The original name of the channel was called Stories Are Meaningful, was the original name of this channel for like its first, I want to say 1,500 subscribers. Like, it wasn't like that was the name of the channel, it changed in 2 days. Like, there were a lot of subscribers, and this channel existed for a decent amount of time with a different name. In fact, I think I'll see when I changed it. I had it as a post. Name change announcement just says 1 year ago. Wait, why does it not say what? Wait, it doesn't say when? That's got to say when. No way. It's not telling me when it was. Wait, I can't see when a post was actually posted? Am I crazy? It just says 1 year ago. But anyway, name change announcement. 1 year ago. I don't know. It's more than a year ago. I just don't know. I don't know why it's not giving me the actual date that it was. I want to say that I changed the name. I want to say that it was the giant chicken in Family Guy. I'm pretty sure that was when I changed the name. It might have been the Panty Raid. But look, that's a good amount of videos and the channel getting monetized happening with a different name. Now, why was it called Stories Are Meaningful? It kind of was like there's one YouTube channel. It's called like Just Write, like it's like a writing channel. I kind of wanted that sort of name. And I also kind of wanted the name of the channel to be a statement, like stories are meaningful. Like the point of my channel is that stories are not just mindless entertainment, that stories and TV shows have a social function. The social function of the arts, something I talk about a lot. It's kind of a controversial thing, apparently. It shouldn't be controversial, and there is no argument against it. But, like, the importance of stories is a part of my channel. So I thought that having the name of the channel be that would help give that statement across. And I ended up changing it for 2 reasons. One, I thought that it wasn't an amazing name. Like, I thought it didn't function very well as a name. You know, I just kept seeing it, like, in being, like, used in a sentence. Like, I would see something like, hey, stories are meaningful. This. And it just did not read to me. You know, it just, like, did not feel like it read as a professional name. And also, I wanted the channel name to be my name. I think it's just good branding for the channel name to just be my name. And that was really the main reason why I ended up changing it. But the video that I think not even so much put this channel on the map, but the video that really changed me as a YouTuber, the video, there are really 2, maybe 3 videos that I think genuinely changed my life making them. And the first and probably the most significant is a critical look at Nosferatu and SpongeBob SquarePants. This video is a keystone of where I am today. And so a little bit of the story of how this channel started. We had the importance of the background fish in SpongeBob SquarePants. So the first video was a SpongeBob video. This channel was never intended and is still not intended to be a SpongeBob only channel. SpongeBob is just by far the most popular thing I cover and the topic that is the most broad. There is so much to talk about with SpongeBob. SpongeBob is like the best show to cover, not just because of its popularity, but because there is so much that SpongeBob does with storytelling. And also, SpongeBob has a range of quality. There's really good episodes in the first seasons. There's really bad episodes in the middle, and there's some bad episodes recently. There's also some okay episodes that are more recent in the middle. Like, there's a lot of range. So you'll notice a lot of my SpongeBob videos are talking about a good modern episode. I'm sorry. You'll notice a lot of my SpongeBob videos are talking about a bad modern episode comparing it to a good classic episode. Hence, a critical look at Nosferatu and SpongeBob SquarePants. The first video where I actually really did that. And that's just a part of that variance. But I wanted to talk about other stuff. Pokemon. My second video was Pokemon because I wanted to tie it in with gaming, with the Pokemon videos, because I did a lot of Pokemon stuff. You know, Pokemon video. There's a Pokemon video right there. There's a Pokemon video. You know, like I did Pokemon videos, so I thought talking about Pokemon the show would have been a good one. And I think I did like 3 videos on the Pokemon anime. And then my third video is actually on Better Call Saul, and I don't really cover like dramas right now because this one didn't really do very well. But I haven't really covered like, you know, like Breaking Bad, Sopranos, Game of Thrones. These are shows that I love, and I really have not talked about them on the channel because I just think they have a different audience when it comes with like most of this like animation stuff. And then I did an Avatar video, an analysis of Avatar. And then we got to Nosferatu. And Nosferatu was the second SpongeBob video I did. And you'll start to see that back then, there's generally not... This was the first time I did 2 SpongeBob videos in a row. Would have been all the way in... I want to say this was March, when I did the Panty Raid and Plankton movie. So in general, I kind of did maybe 2 non-SpongeBob videos and then a SpongeBob video. I started to realize that SpongeBob was a little more popular. I noticed I had more to say about SpongeBob, but Nosferatu really changed everything. I don't know why Nosferatu was the one that I did so early. I don't know why, of all of the references, Nosferatu was the one that stuck out to me. Because the next one was My Leg. I've done plenty of others on reference episodes. What are some other reference episode ones I did? Doodle Bob. Like, Doodle Bob was when the new episode aired last year. I've done Doodle Bob. I've done Bubble Buddy. Should be Imagination Box. Let's see. Bubble Buddy's right here. Like, I did a lot on the reference episodes. I think I've covered every reference episode. At least every reference episode so far. I don't know if there's any I missed. I guess I didn't do Rock Bottom, unless you count SpongeBob and Patrick's Timeline Twist Up as a Rock Bottom. That's not the only Rock Bottom episode. But Nosferatu, I don't know why Nosferatu was like the one. Funnily enough, this was actually around the time that Nosferatu movie came out, and people would comment that, but I actually wasn't. I didn't even know. It's a total coincidence that this was around the Nosferatu movie. I would have mentioned it in the video if I knew that the Nosferatu movie was like coming out at that time. I think I'd heard of it, but I just was not even considering that. But Nosferatu, I remember writing the Nosferatu video and realizing that this was different from my gaming stuff, that there was something different about doing media analysis as opposed to gaming analysis. And that difference has to do with talking about the importance of the arts, and by the arts I mean narrative media. Video games are art, obviously, but the art of narrative media, and the importance of narrative media, and how narrative media is being kind of bastardized to waste people's time in a way that doesn't really affect video games. I think that video games, you can criticize video games, especially mobile games. Mobile games is one, but you can have some criticisms of video games. You know, this SpongeBob game will waste your time. Talking about like cutting characters in Super Smash Bros. Hey, maybe there's too many characters in Super Smash Bros. The next game should cut them. Like, there are criticisms you can make of video games, sure. But I don't think I've ever criticized, at least a Nintendo game, maybe like really bad Nintendo games, like Paper Mario Sticker Star might be one. But there's like very few Nintendo games where I'd be like, this is a product where its bad quality is a social problem. I don't think I've ever said that about video games. I do say that about narrative media, and I think that gives me a little bit more to talk about with that. And that's kind of what I talked about with Nosferatu. So the way that the Nosferatu video was structured is it's pretty easy. I explain why the Nosferatu joke was funny. Like, you can see me back there. There I was back in my, that's my old background with my very long hair. I mean, my hair's kind of long right now. My hair is a lot longer then, though.
3 foreshadowed occurrences include the lights flickering on
So you hear my
and off, the phone ringing with no one answering, and a bus appearing to drop off the Marauder. Even though Squidward admits to making up the story, he and SpongeBob begin to fear that this hash-slinging slasher may
So like, yeah, you hear my announcer voice still. I still hadn't really perfected the voice. It's a little bit better than the Charles Martinet one that we heard not too long ago. But I definitely have improved even a bit more. I'm more conversational now in my videos.
actually exist, because the 3 mysterious circumstances Squidward made up actually start happening. At the end, it turns out who was flickering.
So yeah, the way that this video was structured is I went over the original Nosferatu joke. I talked about Squidferatu. Well, I did a little brief interlude where I talked about other Nosferatu appearances, but then I really talked about Squidferatu and how Squidferatu failed and Nosferatu did good. It's a good video. Go watch it. But then at the end, I finished off with this, and I think that this last part here is what kind of turned this video into something more. I don't know if it made a difference in the viewership. After all, it's only like the last 2 minutes of the video. So I don't know if it's the reason that it got the amount of views that it did that got this channel monetized and put me on the map. But I think that this section is important because it really did change how I approached being a YouTuber, and the kind of points that I wanted to make as a YouTuber would be this last section of this video.
Should the SpongeBob writers have done with Nosferatu? Chapter 3, Let It Rest.
Chapter 3, Let It Rest. This was before I discovered that I could use the actual SpongeBob font. I just used the same, like, general color.
There's a trend I see a lot in storytelling, both new and old, that makes me think they should have just let it rest. in graveyard.
So I came up with this phrase, let it rest. I made up that phrase. I think it's a cool phrase. I've seen people use it too. Like I've seen in comments, I've seen people say they should let it rest. Like I haven't seen it like used that often, like if I saw it used in like bigger things too, like if it just became a common term, that'd be super cool. But like I've seen people say it back at me.
Nosferatu was a fantastically executed joke and the cherry on top of a well-done episode. The team behind SpongeBob was certainly aware that this aspect of their creation really resonated with audiences. But there's something that they didn't understand or accept, and it was that this joke could only work once. It could only work here, in this moment, in this episode. The stars aligned, and Nosferatu appeared in the center, and you could never force this to happen again. You can crowbar Nosferatu.
So I took the whole video that was just me at first criticizing episodes, talking about how it worked, it didn't work. This works, this doesn't. This was also the first this works, this doesn't thumbnail, funnily enough. But then I turned it into a more philosophical ending, a real punch to it. And I felt so much more towards making this video than I did with a lot of my gaming videos. As much as I had a lot of fun with a lot of gaming videos, I never had one where I really felt the same way that I did about Nosferatu. Whereas I have had many videos, including the very next video with Elf. This was a great one, Christmas video. Just about all of my videos, I have something that I feel similarly to than with this Nosferatu. So from there, I kept going on. I started to notice that SpongeBob videos did better. Now, you'll notice that the SpongeBob videos have way more views than the videos next to them. Like, for example, My Leg has 78K views, whereas this live-action Lion King movie video only has 1.2K views. Now, at the time, the My Leg video still did a lot better than the live-action Lion King video. Like, it still did better because it was a SpongeBob video. But it didn't do better by that much. I would say the My Leg video, the Nosferatu video was definitely past 100K. Like, it got 100K in, like, a couple of weeks, I'd say, because it got me monetized. I'd say My Leg got 20K in a couple of weeks. And this 78K came later when the channel started to blow up. Like when the channel started really blowing up, people went back and watched the SpongeBob videos, but didn't really watch the other videos around it. Just kind of comes with the territory of being a YouTuber. But anyway, as I went through, I did a SpongeBob video every so often. They would usually sometimes do a little better than others. And I just kept moving forward, and I just went and kept chugging along. This would have been around the summer of 2025, around June-ish of 2025. And this was when I was probably feeling the most discouraged as a YouTuber. This was probably the darkest time as a YouTuber for me. The time where I was really concerned that this was never going to get anywhere was probably around, summer of 2025. And you might be thinking, that's weird, like you were, both of the channels were monetized. Game Cubicle and Jackson Finale were monetized. Didn't make a lot of money off of them, but they were both monetized. They both averaged, 1,000 views to 3,000 views. Somewhere under 1,000 on this. This channel was doing worse than the Game Cubicle. The Game Cubicle averaged higher than Jackson Finale at this time. So this one was like doing a bit worse. But at this time, I was really getting concerned about where I was going and if this was ever going to be more than a hobby. Because, like, you should treat it as a hobby in some ways when you're just starting out and you're not making money. Because again, I had other jobs at the time. But like there is a point where you gotta there is a point where you just can't put that much time into making videos if they're not making money. There is a point where that matters. Like, I think it's toxic positivity for someone to be like, it doesn't matter if I get views. It does. It does, and it's okay to admit that. It's okay to admit that it matters. And the reason that it matters is because if you get views, you can do it for a living. Like, the material reality is that if you don't get views on your videos, well, first of all, what's even the point of making them? And secondly, you don't get paid for it. So you have to have another job, which takes away from your time to be able to make videos in the first place. So it is important to care about that stuff. I'm not saying that it should be the be-all, end-all, and you should be sponge truths and you don't care about your audience and you just do whatever makes you the most views or makes you the most money. There's a balance to it. There always is a balance to everything. But, like, if you're doing videos and you're, like, not getting a lot of viewership and you're getting, like, if you're getting only, like, 1,000 to 3,000, you might be fine. It might just be a matter of time before you blow up. Because, like, I didn't change too much before I really started to blow up around September of 2025. I didn't really change that much of what I was doing. I just had to be patient. But if you're getting under 1,000 every video, you're doing something wrong. You gotta change it up. It's not eventually going to blow up. You are doing something fundamentally wrong, and you need to figure it out. Because it will not go anywhere. If you keep going. And again, that's all, that all depends on the situation. There's a lot of stuff that changes. But yeah. But anyway, at around this time in summer of 2025, I was doing both the Game Cubicle and Jackson Finale. That was very difficult to do both of those. And funnily enough, what gave me more hope in being a YouTuber was actually the Game Cubicle, was actually the gaming videos. With I Solved the Donkey Kong Bonanza timeline. This was around when Donkey Kong Bonanza was coming out, and it had a bunch of weird timeline stuff. This video kind of restored my confidence in YouTube. Just at this time, seeing something work. And actually around this time, this was around July, August of 2025, I kept making gaming videos, and this channel went on a hiatus for about a month. After Should They Make an American Squid Game? Again, when I covered a drama, just was a little outside of my audience, I think. American Squid Game. I don't know. I really liked Squid Game. I wanted to do a video on, like, all of Squid Game because I was really into it. But I just didn't think it was going to do very well. So I took about a month off from Jackson Finale. So I took about a month off from this media analysis channel. And I kept doing the Game Cubicle. And I noticed that the Game Cubicle was still not super fulfilling. It wasn't giving me what I really wanted. Even though I had one really solid video. And again, it was always the same problem with the Game Cubicle. Do I talk about the news? Do I talk about old games? Do I talk about new games? Like, what? And it just wasn't, I was always having the same problems with the Game Cubicle, with the being a gaming YouTuber. And also the fact that I was also doing movies and TV shows. If I wanted to be a gaming YouTuber, I think I could have been a really good one. I do. I think that I could have been like Arlo, like all of these, I think I could have run a Game Explain. I think I could have been really good at it. But I would have had to commit. I would have had to not do this. I would have had to just do this. And then I would have committed and I would have really been a gaming YouTuber. It really did come to the point where I knew that I had to pick one. But at this point, I was not picking one. I was doing both. I hadn't come to that conclusion just yet. But one thing that I did realize, that I had been realizing, is that with this, what I learned from the Game Cubicle is, like, right around here, Donkey Kong was big because of Donkey Kong Bonanza, so there's a bit of Donkey Kong Bonanza stuff. But I also did Pokemon. There's a Pokemon. Even Kirby Air Ride. Like SpongeBob games. I want to talk about SpongeBob games too at around this time. Amiibo, Mario, and I was noticing, and I had noticed for a while, What if I just did Pokemon? What if I just did Mario? Would that be better if I just focused on one thing? And I just couldn't find an avenue to really do that on this gaming channel. But I realized something. On this channel, the best videos by far were the SpongeBob videos. So what if, when I came back from this hiatus, this was around August of 2025, when I came back from this about a month-long hiatus on this channel, what if I came back and I just did SpongeBob videos? And I saw if that could make this work as a career. And that was like the last ditch. It's like, look, I'm not going to be able to do this unless something really changes. So I'd rather just cover SpongeBob than cover anything I want and have no one see it. That was the choice that I was presented with. I felt like that was mutually exclusive. Was it? Who knows? Maybe if I stuck to my guns and I covered a bunch of different stuff, maybe I would have been fine. I don't know. That's not the choice I made. The choice I made was I am going to cover only SpongeBob until I get to a point where I feel like I don't have to. And there were parts of that decision that I liked. I like SpongeBob. Covering SpongeBob is great. It's my favorite cartoon. It is. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about with it. It has, all that stuff I said earlier about why SpongeBob is such a slam dunk of a show to cover. And I thought I'm just going to cover, and my formula was going to be this. So you'll see rewriting the Splinter. Can I fix SpongeBob's grossest episode, rewriting the Splinter? Next video, how to write Dying for Pie. The video after, the wasted potential of Handsome Squidward. Originally, this video actually had almost the same thumbnail as this video, the Splinter. It was originally the same thing. It was SpongeBob with the pencil. It said rewriting, but it was just the title card of the Two Faces of Squidward, or the Many Faces of Squidward, whatever the episode is called. I think I called it the wrong name. I eventually changed the thumbnail later because I did thumbnail tests and this thumbnail just performed better. But originally, my plan was I am just going to do two kinds of videos. I'm going to do criticizing a bad episode and praising good episodes. And that was going to be my formula for SpongeBob. And I was going to do back and forth. I was going to do bad episode rewrite, good episode how to write, back and forth, back and forth. And I did 3. And then I realized SpongeBob Season 16 was airing. SpongeBob Season 16 was about to air its season premiere, Bizarro Bottom. I scrolled past on Reddit. I saw this screenshot, actually, the very screenshot that I eventually used for the thumbnail. That is, to this day, my most viewed video currently, is Bizarro Bottom, is my most viewed video. And I think the reason for it is just because the thumbnail has a weird-looking SpongeBob and a blue Mr. Krabs. And I think, as much as and I'm sure the quality of the video contributed to it. I'm sure it had a good discussion. I'm sure there are things about me that it wasn't all that, but let's be real. That was a big part of it, is that is just a thing that caught people's attention, that these characters look off. And this was actually originally one of the thumbnails was also a rewriting. It was rewriting Bizarro Bottom, was in the thumbnail test. And this thumbnail won by a long shot. This one with the "this didn't work." My first "this didn't work" thumbnail, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it was my first "this didn't work." And then from there, more SpongeBob videos. I covered Season 16 as it aired. This was the next Season 16 episode. Season 16 episode, that one was also Season 16. I tried to cover the SpongeBob movie. I did a couple throwback things. This was Season 16 video. Season 16, the Halloween episode, Laundry Madness. Imagination Box remake, Imagination Box sequel was actually not a Season 16 episode, but it was a modern episode. It was pretty close. So I just went forward, and at this point, YouTube, from Bizarro Bottom onward, YouTube was still not my job. I was still a photographer at this time. But YouTube was a part-time job at that point. It became something. It became more than what it was before. It became more than a hobby, definitely. But it wasn't my full-time job at this point. And then I decided to talk about AI. And I was thinking about covering AI for a while. I'm not afraid of AI SpongeBob channels. 8 months ago, wow, November of 2025 was I'm not afraid of AI SpongeBob channels. Inspired by Ava's videos about a similar subject. The reason I made this video is because I love Ava's anti-AI videos. I do. But I wanted to basically do an anti-AI video where I stated that I wanted AI to be banned. I feel like Ava doesn't say that. And I get why he doesn't. I get that's a hard thing to say because you really have to back that up with strong arguments, which is not easy to do. But I felt like that was something that was missing from Ava's anti-AI videos, so I wanted to throw my hat in the ring. And I remember when I was making this video, this I'm not afraid of AI SpongeBob channels, I was looking at what channel was I going to cover? What AI channel was I going to cover? Originally, this video was going to be about No Villains Are Safe. Actually, No Villains Are Safe was going to be the subject of this video, not Sponge Truths. I was aware of Sponge Truths, but I was originally going to talk about No Villains Are Safe because No Villains Are Safe had more subscribers, and No Villains Are Safe, I hated their thumbnails more. So they were originally going to be the subject. But I actually didn't have as much to say about No Villains Are Safe, and I didn't have as much evidence of them being AI at the time. Now I do. But I didn't have as much evidence of them being AI beyond just the vibes, whereas Sponge Truths at this time, Ava had done videos on them and presented evidence for them being AI, which I discussed in this video, and I said that Ava had the evidence, and I told people to watch Ava's video on it. I credited him as the source. But the real reason that I covered Sponge Truths in this video was because Sponge Truths copied one of my videos. It's surreal how similar Sponge Truths' Bizarro Bottom video is of my, again, most popular video. Bizarro Bottom is a mess of a SpongeBob episode. Was why I covered Sponge Truths. But this video is not the same as my usual Sponge Truths videos. You'll notice here Sponge Truths is getting desperate from just 6 days ago. 10 hours of destroying Sponge Truths to fall asleep to. That's a compilation of a lot of them. Sponge Truths is finished. Don't learn politics from AI SpongeBob videos. Sponge Truths is homophobic. You know, like so many. I have covered so much Sponge Truths, but this video is different because this video is on the main channel. We'll talk about the podcast channel in a bit and how that became a part of my career. So this video is a little different. I'm not afraid of AI SpongeBob channels because it's written like a regular main channel video. It just discusses Sponge Truths and all that. But we'll get to how AI plays into my career, or me criticizing AI, because I certainly don't use AI. I hate AI. Came into my career. Let's see. I tried to talk about the Mario Galaxy movie. The trailer did not do as well as my comparable videos around it, as you'll notice. Under 10K. Everything else, well over 10K. Well over 20K. All of them. This one. Oh, I guess I could talk a little bit about when I did videos that were a bit more political. This one was also political. Again, I talked about policy of how I think AI should be banned. My AI SpongeBob channel video was a bit political. This was the first time I really was political, at least I think. I think I said something in the Squid Game one because it took place in America. So it might not have been the very first time that I was political, but it was the first time I was like really explicitly political. This one as well, the religion one, I talked about certain very hot button issues. I feel like, so sometimes when I do those, they don't do as well on the main channel, whereas they do well on the podcast channel. Well, yeah, that's interesting. I think it's just because this live stream content, people are more willing to hear about like politics and stuff, whereas with these, people generally don't want to really think about that sort of stuff. They'd rather just think about SpongeBob. I don't know if that's a problem. I don't know if that's a bad attitude. It's just something I've noticed. I won't never talk about politics on this channel. I don't shy away from sharing my beliefs. I don't shy away from sticking up for marginalized groups. You know. Jackson, please read chat. Yeah, stop saying W. Jackson Finelli. Please don't spam the same thing. It's nice to say W. Jackson. You could say that, but only say it once. But yeah, I just think that and also talking about politics, it's exhausting for me too. I'm very informed, but it's not my main area of expertise. Like when it comes to really, I even talked a little bit in this one not too long ago. There was a lot I talked about that was like economic policy that was like really at the edge of my understanding for it. Not to say that I don't know these things and not to say that I'm not confident in the things I said in this video. I certainly am. But like I know about the arts. Like if it's about a SpongeBob episode and its structure and all this sort of stuff, I can tell you anything backwards and forwards, and I enjoy it more. I would not be happy if I was a politics channel. It would not make me happy. Doing this makes me happy. So, and sometimes the thing comes up, Animal Farm, not too long ago. Animal Farm movie doesn't understand politics. I was passionate about that. And again, didn't do as well as the ones around it. It's interesting. But yeah, I mean, from there, really, the rest is history. This is around January of 2026 is around here. The views just kept going up. The average views started going up. The subscribers started going up. Got to 10K at ranking every time the Krusty Krab destroyed. And that brings us to today. Modern SpongeBob's worst idea yet got us 20K. Jackson Finelli podcast, to give a little bit of backstory on this. This is probably where you're watching this on. You might think I'm lying if it's like, wait a minute, 20K subscribers. This only has 2K subscribers. Yeah, Jackson Finelli podcast just got to 2.65K subscribers, 2K subscribers. Jackson Philly Podcast got 2K subscribers not too long ago. It's a newer channel, and it's always going to average a little bit less because they're long form, off the cuff, unscripted content. It's not going to get the same kind of numbers as my video essays, but I can put out a lot more of it, and they're longer videos. So this has been a very good channel for me. This has been a very good also good part of my job. This channel is also monetized. I got all of that squared away. Probably back in April, this channel got monetized. It's a bit new. Definitely a bit newer. But this one, what really started to pop off on this channel, you'll notice I did a lot of video game streaming to kind of tie this back into video games. I did. This actually was originally, this channel, this is Jackson Valley Podcast, was originally going to be my video game streaming channel. And I just never really was able to make it work. Video game streaming is hard. I'm trying it a little bit right now, you'll notice, and they haven't done very well in, relation to my other ones, my other Sponge Truths criticizing ones. But like, this is me and Em, my fiance Em is in them too. We're playing it together. Playing some of the old SpongeBob games. I don't know. People like them. People do say that they like them. They certainly are not as popular as the other ones. I might continue to do these. Creature from the Krusty Krab. Maybe I just play all the SpongeBob games, and that can be my contribution to gaming as a whole. But really what worked for me is criticizing the AI channels. And from there, the Game Cubicle last video was 3 months ago. Some Pokemon stuff. Only got 2K views the last video. I got 30K right at the end. I had a very strong one. I had a couple that were looking good, but I decided to let it go. The Game Cubicle. I don't know if I'll make gaming content. To be honest, it's not really that sad. I didn't love it as much as what I do now. I just don't think making these videos about video games, about Nintendo games, I don't think it was meant to really fit into my life. Maybe I'll do videos like these, like the SpongeBob game reviews, and I'll just put them on the main channel. I have been hesitant to do that because I feel like if I do that, that's really the end of the Game Cubicle. Like that would be a big gesture against the existence of this channel if I did SpongeBob game videos on this channel. So I don't know. I'm going to think about that. But for now, I might play some video games on this streaming channel. But the main things that I do these days, I've settled into a pretty solid routine to look a little bit into the future as we go past 20K subscribers, hopefully to 100K soon. My plans as of right now is to keep covering the new season of SpongeBob season 17, as it airs. I'm trying to do some non-SpongeBob videos. We're getting to the point where I don't have to only cover SpongeBob. I did well on live action Avatar. I've done very well with Family Guy. Got a couple ideas coming up that aren't necessarily SpongeBob videos coming up. Still going to be a lot of SpongeBob. But I have, as the channel gets going, something that I think could really be the future of this channel is mega videos. So I watched Camp Coral would be the first, a 2-hour analysis of an entire show. Discussing entire shows, similar to like Quentin reviews, I think is something that will eventually be in the future of this channel. Perhaps as I get even larger. But beyond that, yeah, I'm doing this, and then we got our content farm stuff. Discussing content farms will also continue to be a big part of the channel. And definitely criticizing AI will be a big part of the podcast channel. And yeah, that's just about it. That's just about my story as a YouTuber. That is how I got myself this far in this amount of time. Anyone have any questions? Questions from the class? Depending on how it turns out, maybe a So I Watched the Family Guy Stewie spinoff could also work. Oh, I'm definitely going to talk about the Stewie spinoff when it comes out. That's going to be great for me. I didn't even think about that. I'm so excited for that now. Because that's going to be like perfect for my channel. You're so correct. I did discover you via your gaming content, specifically your Curse the Flying Dutchman GBA video. Yeah, I wonder how many fans are from the Game Cubicle. Because there's you, but, like, it's not 0. Like, I'm sure that there's a decent amount. Game Cubicle had 5K subscribers at the end. So, like, it wasn't nothing, you know? So I wonder how many are. If you were going to do a subscriber special, what would it be? This is the subscriber special. This is the 20K subscriber special. When are you doing Toy Story CinemaSins reactions? Good question. I am thinking about doing a Toy Story video where I talk about all 5 movies. I know I kind of missed the boat on covering it like right after 5 came out, so that I might just wait for it to come on Disney Plus. I've seen all 5 movies. I rewatched 1 through 4 and then saw 5 in theaters. Just did not have the time to do a big video like that in between my other projects, because it came out this like the same week as live action Avatar, and live action Avatar I felt like was the bigger thing for me. I would probably coincide CinemaSins if I was gonna watch all the CinemaSins Toy Story ones. I think I'm gonna just do a different CinemaSins stream before that one, because I think Toy Story is gonna be a while. I think I'm gonna just do CinemaSins. I might do CinemaSins Mario Galaxy movie. I know they did one on that. That might be an interesting watch. Do you talk about this stuff with any cartoonists you know? I don't know if I know any cartoonists per se. I mean, my fiance is an artist. She draws cartoons very well. She drew my Avatar. She drew my little guy. So, I guess you could call her a cartoonist. What do you like about writing? I like the sharing of perspectives in writing. That's what I like about writing, is that you are trying to say something through a story. And how you do that is interesting to me, because it's not the same, like writing in terms of like writing a story is not the same as writing a YouTube video. Because in writing a YouTube video, you just say your opinions. Whereas with a story, you're not really so much telling someone your opinions. You're presenting someone with a narrative and trying to get them to draw the correct conclusions from that narrative that you presented to them. And allowing a little bit of variance with someone's perspective in storytelling, I think is very interesting to me. And I just also like with writing the reflection of culture, the way of, just discussing the world through writing, through telling a story. I find that stuff very interesting. Will you ever do videos analyzing storytelling in music or lyrics? There's a couple things that are tricky with that. Well, when it comes to music is something that I actually want to study more. I come from a very musical family who all play instruments except me. I'm like the only one in my family who does not play an instrument currently. My fiance also plays instruments. I do not. So I don't know a lot about music, but I want to learn more about it. But when it comes to music, what music does is it makes you feel an emotion based on its notes, like the notes of music and the way that music is presented makes you feel things. It's why music can exist as just music. Like it's why a Mozart symphony is still a powerful piece of art, because it invokes a feeling. Whereas it doesn't follow the same standards as a narrative, where a narrative needs to have certain things in order to work as a narrative. I mean, music needs to have certain things in order to work as music as well. There is such a thing as bad music. But bad music, we identify it too easily. Whereas bad narratives can get away with being bad narratives to the point where it's like a problem. There's really not much of an equivalent in music to how SpongeBob gets away with writing bad episodes. So SpongeBob has bad episodes because SpongeBob had good episodes, and because SpongeBob had good episodes, people watched the bad episodes. I don't know if music really has that equivalent. Like perhaps maybe a good musical artist would eventually go on to make bad music and people would listen to it anyway because it's that musical artist. Is that a thing that happens? I just think that with music we already have pretty strong standards for it, that there is less to criticize in music in terms of how it makes people feel. Whereas it's kind of similar to video games. Whereas video games, there are flaws that you could find in individual video games, sure, but there's not really that same analysis of that there is with narrative media. Another thing that's hard about music is you can't really show music. Like people keep telling me to review SpongeBob the Musical, and I'm considering it for sure, but I can't play any of the songs. And that's really difficult to review a musical, and I can't show you any of the music that I'm talking about. I'd have to describe it all to you, I might still do it, sure, but that is a major difference when it comes to reviewing music as opposed to reviewing TV show episodes. Jackson, can you review fans' videos and say what to improve and what's already good? Would be a good video or live stream idea. It's one of my Patreon tiers that I would review people's content live. I did it once as an experiment to see how I liked it. It's now one of my Patreon tiers. Not telling you have to pay for it, but it is something that I consider, but I guess I would say I charge for it. Because it is labor for me to go over someone's YouTube channel. I also would do it not on stream. Like if someone was in that Patreon tier and they wanted me to just review it privately and just tell them instead of putting them on the screen. It's also subject to my discretion. There's certain things that I like. If someone had an AI channel, or maybe I would review their AI channel. I'd be like, don't use AI headline. And then I continue to criticize them. I guess I would still do it if they had an AI channel, but if it was inappropriate or something, I would use my own discretion. I have a little disclaimer there. But that is, yeah. Jackson, if you could make anything type of content, it would still get views. What would you do? Ooh, I don't think it would be that different from what I do right now. I feel like if I always knew that I would get views, like magically, no matter what I made, I think I would, instead of covering SpongeBob week to week, I would do one video on all of season 17. I would do one video per season. So I would still talk about SpongeBob, but I probably would mostly review the entirety of shows. But I don't think my content would be that different. I really don't. I probably would cover some other stuff that's a little more niche. I probably would talk a little bit about dramas as well, rather than mostly staying near animation. But it wouldn't be that much different, to be honest. I'm actually very happy with what I do. Although, if you go with type of content, I also want to create my own shows, like my own TV show. Like an animated show, or I have a couple of different ideas bouncing around. So that is also a thing that I aspire to do. So that kind of fits with your question as well, that I would like to make actual like narrative shows. Like I would like to make a show, myself. And this channel is a way of building an audience and showing like, hey, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk, People will even say that. They'll be like, oh, like you could do it better. I'm like, yeah, I can. And I'll prove it to you. Once I make my own show, I'll prove it to you that I can write a better narrative than modern SpongeBob, actually. I can very easily. I could write something better than the stuff I criticize. Imagine if Sponge Truce watches one of your streams. That would be the dream. I would love for Sponge Truce to watch my streams. And then his heart will grow 3 sizes and he'll stop using AI. Is it fine if I watch a movie or episode first without thinking critically, just vibing, then rewatching and criticizing? Of course that's okay. I'll say this. I think it's okay. I think it's okay to watch stuff without thinking critically. I just think that everything you do watch should be something that you can think critically about. That's more my threshold, because sometimes, like, you don't need to turn watching TV into a homework assignment because you watch my channel. It's not how I want people to feel. I think that if you're someone who is passionate about analyzing media, and that's like a way for you to like analyze media, is you watch something without thinking critically and then you watch it with thinking critically, that's great. That's a great process. Like, clearly the fact that you're even asking me that question means that you care about the things that you watch. So like, I'm sure you're fine. I'm sure you're totally fine, like, at that point, so yeah, of course that's okay. And yeah, it's okay if you like don't. It's okay to watch modern SpongeBob. You could watch it. You could feel like you're turning off your brain. It can get a little toxic. You need to be careful with the idea of turning off your brain. But like sometimes days are long and hard, and you do just kind of want to sit and watch something and relax. Like, it's okay. It's okay to do that. But the content itself should not be shallow, because I think that you are. Because like, if you sit and you watch something and you're not really thinking super critically, let's say you had a tired day or this or whatever, but you watch like a classic SpongeBob episode, you're probably still going to get at least a little bit of something out of it, and that's cool. And I think that that's important. Have you seen the 2 most recent SpongeBob season 17 episodes that aired 2 days ago? No, I have not seen them because I can't get a hold of them until Monday. Don't ask me how I get a hold of them. I won't tell you. I know a guy who knows a guy. I do plan on making a video about them. I'm probably just going to take all day tomorrow. I'm going to watch them in the morning, and I'm going to make a whole video on them. I'm aiming to get a video on... I might only cover one of the 2 episodes. I know the descriptions, so I'm probably going to talk about the episode How the West Was Dumb. It seems like they're going to do some kind of silly cartoon logic thing in it. I don't know yet. I could totally change my mind tomorrow, but I'm thinking it's going to be about cartoon logic. Other than adding more meaning to the stories, what do you think is the thing modern SpongeBob can improve on the most? I guess characterization is adding more meaning to the stories. It's an easy answer. It's an easy answer. The answer is obvious. I'm sorry. I feel like it's the obvious answer, but it is the art direction. It's too many meme faces. It moves too fast. It doesn't have to be exactly like classic SpongeBob. I get it. Art styles can change. Ways that you approach shows can change. It needs to slow down. It needs to slow down with the faces and the movement. It's got to chill. That's I just feel like it's a little too obvious of an answer. What's another one? I mean, most of my problems with modern SpongeBob take away meaning, so it's hard to answer your question because I feel like all of them go into the meaning issue. Would you ever want to do more reacting to comments? Yes, I'm planning on doing one next week. I'm going to title it "Everyone Who Disagrees with Me is Wrong." Stay tuned, because I got some awful non-arguments on some recent videos that I really do want to go over. It's not going to be reacting to a specific video's comments. It's just going to be reacting to comments in general. What instrument would you want to learn? Given like infinite time, the violin. But like I don't have a violin, and I'm pretty sure they're expensive, so I wouldn't want to buy one if I didn't know I would be able to put the time into it. Another one would be piano or guitar, just to like actually really, probably flute as well, because I want to practice as a singer, and I feel like a flute would help with that, hitting notes and all that. Are you sick since you are coughing? No, I've been talking for 2 hours, and you cough when you talk for 2 hours. Also, I'm a little allergic to dust, and sometimes my office is dusty. How about you rank all 3 Disney Jungle Book live action remakes? There's 3? What do you mean there's 3? I thought there was only 1. I could look into that. Can you tear down an AI video that ripped off Alpha J Show's video where he praised a recent episode? What channel? Tell me. Because yeah, I could do that. Maybe not today. What are your thoughts on authorial intent versus death of the author? I saw a video discussing this topic with FNAF. Watch the end of my Is This SpongeBob episode about religion video. That discusses kind of that exact subject. The difference, I call it the difference between, what is it? Author intent. I call it author intent versus audience interpretation. And I think that elements of both of them exist in criticizing anything. A little bit like that. For anyone who wants to start their own YouTube channel, what equipment would you suggest for beginners? First thing you need is a good mic. Good mic is more important than anything else. Do not spend a ton of money on an expensive 4K camera. Do not start with that. Start with, I use a Rode NT1 and a Rode AI1, I think it's called. I don't know why it's called AI. It's not AI. It has nothing to do with AI, but it's called AI. But it's Rode AI1, I want to say, receiver. That'll set you back just shy of $300. Plus you have to buy an XLR cord. That's a solid mic. You don't even really have to treat a room. Maybe go into a closet if you feel like it. Location is a big part, like what you have. If you want to film yourself, you need a lot of space to film yourself and do it properly. I am using a whole room. I filmed in my bedroom when I was back in California for a good amount of the beginning of this channel, and it was a nightmare. I would rearrange the whole room. It would add an hour and a half to my filming time. rearranging the room to film. It was awful. Now I just sit down and I do it. Well, there's a little bit more of a process, but it's a lot easier than it was. So it's really tough because nowadays you don't want to be faceless anymore because of AI. Because my face appearing in the first 5 seconds of my videos proves I'm not AI immediately. So, like, you don't really want to be faceless. And also, I don't, like, it's fine to be faceless. There's plenty of faceless YouTubers. Like, it's okay. It's common. I don't know. I think showing your face can be better in a lot of ways. I guess it depends. It depends. If you don't want to show your face, that's totally fine. But, like, you do have to worry about, like, you are going to connect a little less with your audience if you don't show your face. And in a post-trust world, like when I started the Game Cubicle, it was 2023. AI channels was like not even a thing when I started. Like it's kind of like, it was like kind of a thing. Like there was like a few things where it's like, are people using Chat GPT to write scripts? Was kind of a thing when I started, but there was no sponge truths when I started with the Game Cubicle and was faceless. There was no one saying, are you an AI voice? When I did this, but this one I get now, like it'll be, I had someone say on this video, they were like, this seems AI generated. I'm like, my face is in the first 5 seconds of the video. What are you talking about? But yeah. But yeah, mic is always important. When it comes to filming yourself, I was a photographer, so I bought a camera for my photography business that was a 4K camera. So I don't know how I would have fit that into my budget if it wasn't already a part of my budget for a different job. Probably would have been a while before when I started this channel, when I was at this point, I would not have used a 4K camera if I didn't already own one. That would have been nuts. The first video wasn't even really in 4K. I filmed it wrong. I filmed it through OBS, so it didn't even come off as 4K because the camera didn't present through 4K through OBS because it was a Canon camera and they don't go through it. There's a separate program. It's a whole thing. But my other ones, like these are like 4K video, you know. You can get, there's a little webcam. There's a little webcam by Elgato that's pretty decent. It's like $160. That you could kind of make work, especially if you do live streaming and you're in a little box. That's what I'm using right now. I'm using a webcam. I'm actually not using my 4K camera to do live streams. I don't use it for any of my live streams because the camera overheats and it burns out and you have to keep resetting. It's a whole thing, whereas this is designed for live streaming. If you're in a little box for live streaming, that can help. But yeah, audio is the biggest thing. If you don't sound good, you're going to lose viewers way more than if you don't look good. Who's the most unused main character in the show? SpongeBob? In SpongeBob? SpongeBob himself, man. In modern SpongeBob himself is just, he just doesn't do anything anymore. He's not even a character. Like, that's like, you know, Patrick's the same, but Patrick was a side character. So like SpongeBob fell farther that SpongeBob doesn't do anything in episodes, you know? Like it's not good that Patrick doesn't do anything either, but if you could take modern SpongeBob and Patrick Star Show in a new direction that's not just member berries, what would you do? Boring answer, but like if I was put in charge of SpongeBob tomorrow, I would make it more or less like classic SpongeBob. I do say that they don't have to do that. Like it's okay if SpongeBob wants to change, if it wants to be different. It just has to be good. If I was in charge of SpongeBob, I would make it like classic SpongeBob. It's fine. I would like, and I think that that's kind of a part of like how I am as a person who would be in charge of something, is that I think that I'm the type of person where like if I directed like, let's say I directed like a Shakespeare play or something, I would be perfectly comfortable if I directed like Romeo and Juliet, if I did it just like the way it's like always done. You know, like I wouldn't need, unless while I was doing it, I noticed something that I could really like change and do differently with like the directing and be like, okay, like that's good. I think with like, if I was put in charge of SpongeBob, I would approach its writing and approach its like direction the same way that the first 3 seasons were approached. I know season 1 is a bit different from 2 and 3, and I'd kind of pull from all of them. And from there, from doing it like that, then I can find the things that are my own, if that makes sense. That's probably what I would do if I was put in charge as the showrunner of SpongeBob tomorrow. Opinions on Toy Story 5, please no spoilers. Solid Toy Story 5 is. I like it. It allows me, it is not easy to, after a movie like Toy Story 3, make 2 more movies that can win me over. That's like, that is impressive on its own, I think. Do I need to film myself? I have crippling social anxiety and am paranoid of people doing stuff to me, like editing you to like look weird. Okay, so like you don't have to film yourself. It, like so many people don't for so many different reasons. I think that your concern, I mean, as you say, it is social anxiety, and you said paranoid. Not to say that no one will do what you're worried about, but that it just kind of doesn't matter. Because putting yourself out on the internet means that you are going to get criticized hard. Anything about you will be discussed, like it will be, and people will be mean, and they'll be this and they'll be that. And also, those people are idiots when they do. Like, you just don't listen to them because they are just, like, most people who say mean stuff are morons. Look at any of my comment section and you'll know. So, like, no, you don't have to film yourself. And sometimes filming yourself can just take away resources and energy that you'd be better off not doing. Here's what I would recommend for exactly what you have told me, and I don't know everything about your life. What I would recommend for you is you don't feel super comfortable filming yourself right now. I would recommend start faceless, get used to it, get used to talking, get used to production, get used to the mic, get used to all that stuff. And then if you get to a point, just think about if it's right for you. If it's right for you to be on camera. If it's right for you to put yourself out there like that. Maybe that will help with the social anxiety. But at the end of the day, it's fine. It's okay. And like, people aren't going to think you're AI just because you don't show your face. It's not going to happen. Like, I mean, people like will, but like not to the point where your channel will fail. Like, it just won't. You know, you might get a couple of comments that will be like, are you AI? Like, you know, even I get those comments. Like, it's fine. The main reason that I would recommend someone to film themselves is twofold. There's 2 main reasons you should, and neither of them have to do with proving you're not AI. The first reason that I film myself is because I think it connects me to my audience more. The second reason is because I want to brand myself as a face in other ways. Like if I were to be like an actor, or just like someone who's just in the, you know, I want to be like a writer, like in the industry and stuff. Just someone who's like, you just put a face to the name is good for broader aspirations beyond YouTube, if that's something that you are thinking about. Oh, and a third reason is it's easier to edit. It's easier to edit videos where you film yourself because you don't have to put footage everywhere, and that adds up in the editing. Like when I'd say about like 20 to 30% of my videos are my face, that adds up. That's 20 to 30% of the video that I no longer have to edit. Sometimes though, that gets offset by how long it takes to film. So you got to be aware of that as well. Also, filming is a little harder, like where if you're filming and you mess up, you have to like kind of go back a little more, whereas if you're just recording with no filming and you mess up, you can just kind of go back like quickly. There's just differences. Do you take Patreon tier suggestions? I do. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, check out. I just redid the Patreon. Are you the guy who told me that I should? I think that was the profile picture. I think they had a Clippy profile picture. I don't know if they're you. Thank you for that advice, by the way. I was not giving my Patreon much love. But yeah, I do a whole bunch of, there's a whole bunch of Patreon stuff. That's fun if you want to really support the channel and be a part of it. There's love. What's your inspiration for YouTube video creation? It comes very easy to me. I just look at stuff that I want to talk about. I wish I could give you a more elegant answer. But like I have nothing but ideas. I have nothing but ideas for YouTube. But I think generally, to give you a better answer than that, I think that, and this is true of any arts, I think that what you should do is you should look at the world and think about something that you would like to be different in the world, and through what you create, express that desire for that thing to be different. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to change that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to change that thing. You probably won't, but you just have to look at something that you care about, that you think is a problem, and through what you create, address that problem. That's what I do with this channel. I think that movies and TV shows are too shallow these days, or have been too shallow. It's not even a these days thing. It might be a little worse these days, but I think that's people not valuing stories is bad. And through my channel, I point that out, and I think I have changed a lot of people's minds on it. I think or not even changed people's minds, given people that opinion who didn't even think about it that much before. So I think that that's actually generally what you should think about if you're going to make YouTube videos. Look at something in the world that you care about, that you wish was different, and talk about that. That would be the main thing. Let's see. Do I do sponsorships? I would. I haven't really gotten an offer, but I would do a sponsorship if it was a company that I would feel comfortable being associated with. But I would do a sponsorship if given it. Better than 4? Toy Story 5? Yeah, I think Toy Story 5 was better than 4, but not better than 1, 2, and 3. Do you always recommend using voice commentary in videos, even for people who don't want to reveal their voice? In my videos, I use text on the screen. Yeah, I always recommend voice commentary. I don't think you'll do very well with text on screen. There are some exceptions to this. I don't think you'll do very well, though. I think I don't know your channel. I don't know exactly what it is. There could be exceptions to this, but yeah, no. Like, you wouldn't get like the numbers that you're seeing on my videos. I don't think videos that, if it was this same video and all the stuff was text on a screen, it just wouldn't happen. It's just, and that's just the reality. You don't want to reveal your voice? Why would you not want to reveal your voice? Do you, like, I guess I could get it. Like, is it a, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But you, not wanting to reveal your voice in a lot of ways, I don't think is a very good reason to not use your own voice in videos. I get that people are complicated. I get that it can be very difficult, especially, but if it's like if it's because of social anxiety, which is super valid, super real, and could be a huge problem, and I don't know how difficult it would be to overcome. But the goal would be to overcome that, I don't know how hard that would be for you. I don't live your life, if that even is the reason. You didn't say that it was. I'm just using a hypothetical. Or if you feel like your voice, some people have very thick accents. Some people could have certain speech impediments that could make it difficult. There are a lot of different things. There's a couple of options. There are some people where truly they are not able to speak, like in a YouTube video. I don't know if that's the case with you, but there are people like that. What I say about that, and this goes into the AI argument, is you would have to hire someone to do the voice in order to make it on YouTube. An AI voice is not an option. It just isn't. And I would say that to a person even if they were medically mute. I've said that one of my positions on generative AI is like there could be a disability focused reason to have AI voices. But I still think they should have no place in the arts, even on YouTube. And I think that the reason for that is not so much to it's a shame, yeah, sure, for those people who would not be able to speak, who have these sorts of issues that make them unable to speak, that they wouldn't be able to as easily make YouTube videos. I think that not having Sponge Truth's AI voices take over the platform is more important than that. I'm sorry. Hot take, I guess. But I think that it is more important for us as a society to trust that the voices that we hear are coming from real people than it is for a very small amount of people to be able to put out videos without having to hire a voiceover person that would also allow bad actors to flood the world with fake voices. It's a very difficult position to come to, but that is the only way that it falls out. I know that you didn't ask, should I use an AI voice? You said text on the screen, which there's nothing wrong with putting text on the screen. I don't think it's morally wrong to put text on the screen. I just think you're not going to get views if you have text on the screen, unless it's a certain niche. But in general, no, I don't think it'll work for you. Let's see. I will answer a few questions, but then I'll go. For jobs like computer science and such, how do you feel that one must have to use AI even if they don't want to? That's often the case for those jobs nowadays. I mean, if your employer is forcing you to use AI, that's on the employer, not you. You're fine. If something is, if your employer is making you use AI, I'm not. You got to survive in this economy. I mean, you can't. You're not changing the system. They're just going to replace you with another worker in 2 days if you quit over it. Don't take food off your table to make a stand. I would never want to tell someone to do that. There are specific differences. Every situation is different. There could be times where you should take a stand, obviously. But it's on the jobs. It's on the jobs. It's a problem with the people who do the jobs. But yeah. Let's see. I think we're good on the questions here. Okay. I think I should be done for the day. This went longer than I wanted. I really wanted to do a Sponge Truth stream. I can't do it to myself. I have to end here. I had hurt my throat too much. I gotta cut it off. Maybe I'll stream again tomorrow. No, tomorrow I need to do my tomorrow tomorrow. Well, I'm not leaving just yet. Wait, don't leave the stream. Tomorrow I got to make a video. Do I do it Tuesday? No, stop saying bye. We're not done. I'm not leaving yet. Message retracted. Thank you. You're funny. That was funny. Oh, you guys are fun. It's such a shame. I don't think I should do any more. Yeah, I'm gonna kill my voice. It's not good for me. That's too bad. You want to see the thumbnail for the next stream? This is gonna be my next stream. SpongeBob Diaries wants to be Sponge Truths so bad is gonna be the title. Just absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. Right? Right? I mean, with the barnacles. Right? I'm so proud of this one. I'm just having fun with the thumbnails now. When's the next stream? I think I'll do it on Tuesday. I think I'll do it Tuesday. Ava is a grandfather. That's funny. I love the Comic Sans. Thank you. I think it's good for a speech bubble. I didn't want to use my regular font in a speech bubble. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it on. I think I'm gonna have to do it on. Oh, did Sponge Truth post a new video? No, guys. Sponge Truths is like way on hiatus. They just did a 3 hours of Bikini Bottom. Like, this is just a compilation, I'm sure. They just did a compilation. But Sponge Truths is like done. Like, Sponge Truths, we'll see. Well, I guess a few days will be good, because I want to see if Sponge Truths posts again between now and I guess 2 days from now. I'm gonna plan on streaming again on Tuesday. They did it 3 hours. It's just a compilation of their other stuff, I think. It's just a compilation. These to fall asleep to are compilations of old stuff. That's what I did when I did them, at least. But SpongeBob Diaries, I wasn't going to talk about SpongeBob Diaries because they're so small, but I think I need to address them. I think that I have something unique to say about SpongeBob Diaries, so we're going to talk about them. I think I'm going to talk about them on Tuesday. Oh, where's my... Oh. I think Tuesday is the day for that. But yeah, turn on notifications for that, because that'll be Tuesday, probably around like 4. You know what? I should advertise it. I should advertise it. Yeah, I'm gonna advertise it. Do voiceover people have to speak for shorter periods? I have days where I have to talk to people for longer, but I'm also not a voiceover person. I don't really know. My voice starts to really hurt if I stream for more than 3 hours. Like, I get some pretty bad pain, but also I need to see like an ENT, and also I need to get Invisalign. I have like crowding in my bottom teeth, and I think it affects the back of my throat. I don't really know what's going on, but I think that there's something with me that actually makes my throat hurt more than the average person. So that might be something. But yeah, I've done 6-hour streams and really regretted it. Like, really regretted it. It's bad. Like, it's genuinely like really painful if I talk for too long and I hurt my throat. It will actually ruin my day. So like, that's why I don't do it. Sponge Truth specifically doing a compilation is a really bad idea because they're changing voices. I can't get into it right now. Yeah, I'd love to check. But yeah. What's your favorite hobbies besides games and shows? I mean, I love video games, but like, I guess besides games, I go on like nature walks. I like nature walks. I like going to like different places. But yeah, that's like most of what I do besides work is play video games. I'd say for sure. I mean, it might be a dumb question, but might drinking water help? Yeah, I drink water. I'll make tea. I make tea before stream and after stream. Yeah, it's I'm working on it. I'm trying to see what the limits of my voice are. I feel like it hurting after 3 hours of streaming might not be normal. Pretty sure it's abnormal. Do you think if Tom Kenny got replaced, that would single-handedly end SpongeBob? No, I don't think so. I think, well, why would he get replaced? I don't think so. I think that'd be fine. I mean, Tom Kenny, he's not that old, but let's say 30 years from now, however old he is. It's like, I've said this before, it's like Bugs Bunny. It's like, it's like Mickey Mouse. It's like Kermit the Frog. Tom Kenny's just the first guy to do SpongeBob's voice. It's just he's been doing it for our whole lives, so we're so used to it. But there are people who grew up with Jim Henson doing Kermit for their whole lives. And then now Kermit's had 3 voices since then, Like, these are, do you prefer reading or gaming now? Gaming, I love video games. I'm really into video games. Jackson will watch the video and the reaction clip will be 6 hours. Yeah, the sponge juice. I need to make it like an incentive. I need to do like an incentive of like, if this happens, I'll watch all of Sponge Truth's Bikini Bottom lore. I'll do that. Do you like manga and or anime? Not really. I'm not super interested in anime, unfortunately. I'm not super into it. I know, right? If Tom Kenny got replaced, it might get controversial. Well, if he got, like, replaced, yeah, that'd be weird. If he just got replaced. But, like, if he, like, aged out of the role. Like, let's say it's like Charles Martinet, and he just retires, and, like, someone else takes the role. I think that would be very uncontroversial. I think that would be, like, super normal. If, like, he wanted to retire, if he's like, hey, if I keep doing this voice, I'm going to ruin my throat, and he retired, and then someone else did the voice, I think that would be incredibly uncontroversial. If you're not vegan, tea with honey always works well for me. Yeah, I'm not vegan, so I'll have honey. That's fine. I do wonder how that would work with a show like The Simpsons, though, since one actor would voice so many characters. Yeah. They could split them. They would, like, maybe do people who could do impressions of different characters. I guess that would depend. Because that's got to happen with Simpsons soon, right? Isn't, like, Harry Shearer, like, 80 or something? I don't even know. Is anyone else capable of voicing SpongeBob? I've noticed no one can really do that voice. I sort of can, but my voice is too low. I'm the closest person I've heard. I think so. I think that with any voice change, there's always going to be people who can nitpick it and can say this is the difference with the voice from the person before. Generally, the hard thing about replacing a voice actor is that this was what happened with the Rick and Morty thing, was it's not enough to get someone who can do the voice. You can't just get a SpongeBob impressionist. You have to get an actor who can do SpongeBob's voice. That's the major difference. They have to be an actual, because Tom Kenny isn't just a guy who can do a funny voice. He's an actual actor who can play a character and can move you with his performance. That is the other requirement. So someone on TikTok who does a spot-on SpongeBob impression might not be a good enough actor to play the role. And that's the main thing that would decide who would be the next voice. Rick and Morty did a pretty good job, though. No, and that's what I mean, is I think Rick and Morty did a good job with it. Like, I think that because they hired actors who could also do the voices. I haven't analyzed it enough to say if I think that they're better. And they're two different guys. Rick and Morty was the same voice. They were both the one guy, and now they're different voices. Wasn't he replaced with like a considerably recognizable YouTuber? Was he? Rick or Morty, which one of them was a YouTuber? I mean, they could be a YouTuber. Like, if someone on TikTok does a really good SpongeBob impression and they get cast as, like, they could still get cast as SpongeBob. They just have to be a good actor. You know, I'm just saying, as someone on TikTok who can do a good impression isn't necessarily also a good actor. They could be a good actor. Anyone could be a good actor. He was a YouTuber. Oh, you meant Cleveland. Cleveland in Family Guy. Right, because they replaced Cleveland because they wanted to be accurate to his race. He was a YouTuber before. Gotcha. But yeah, he would have just been a YouTuber who could do Cleveland's voice, but he also was able to act. He was also a good actor. Gotcha. Tom can't really do the SpongeBob voice anymore either. Yeah, you can hear it. You can hear a difference. That's interesting. I didn't know that about the Cleveland voice actor. Look at that. Someone who's a YouTuber using it into a bigger career. All right, I think I got to end stream. My throat is starting to hurt. But thank you so much for being here. I will see you all next time. Probably Tuesday. I think I'm going to make an ad for it. Try and drum up some excitement for it. All right. Thank you so much. See you next time.